Here's Purdy with a lot of time. Steps into one. Launching deep. Going for Brandon Ayuk. It is. Oh, he caught it off the ricochet. Penalty. Is he in?
Live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, this is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
Here's Kansas City from the 19, throwing at the goal line, and it's caught by Kelce for the touchdown.
Our coverage of Super Bowl 58 is brought to you by Allen Samuels House of Travel, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, TexasBeefHouse.com, IdealMRI.com, Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine, Marco's Pizza, Rogue Media, Camille Johnson Realtors, The Tyler Candle Company, United Nissan.
Third down, four-man rush. Purdy in some trouble. Escapes, looking for the first down. He's got it and more. Brock Purdy with the legs inside the 30.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at UnitePrivateNetworks.com.
2nd and 10 to the end zone again, and it is intercepted. Intercepted by Deion Bush, who just came in 2 plays ago for Mike Edwards.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
And here we are live. Whoa, that's way, way high. We're live from the Mandalay Bay inside the convention center attached to that hotel, and then also on top, or casino, on top of that NFL media headquarters here in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is Radio Row. Behind us, there's like 150 or so setups like ours. Some of them are on the outside, big, huge type setups, but we're here, Paul Catalina, and we have a lot to get to, including a bizarre weekend in the Big 12 and men's basketball, and what it is this week, Super Bowl 58 information, and also, yes, there's always college football news and notes to get to as well. So the Big Ten and SEC last week, they talked about the advisory committee, or so to speak, and now there's this story today from Ross Dellenger that the college football playoff, which of course we know it's going to 12 teams, but there is still concern from the Big Ten SEC if they can make this happen. Now, Kirk Schultz, who's the president at Washington, or the athletic director at Washington State.
It's the president.
President at Washington State. He wants just, it's the Cougars and Oregon State against the rest of the world. And he wants a few more, wait a minute, let's make sure. I don't see why him wanting to check on things is bad, but it's annoying people.
Well, he also wants guarantees and is trying to renegotiate the money they're going to get and things that, honestly, the Big Ten and SEC will not want to do. I mean, that's the other thing. So he knows that they are going to, be on the outside looking into this no matter what. And he's fighting for it, but he is in a unique position of power in that it has to be unanimous for any of these changes to pass. So he is using his negotiating strength right now. Does Kirk Schultz thinks he's going to get everything he wants? I hope not, because that would be silly. But he does. He has to fight for them, because otherwise, if you don't, they're just going to leave you out because you told them to leave you out.
Aren't they going to do that anyway?
Yeah, they are. I mean, but at least you're going to go down swinging. Look, I think the undoing of Jim Phillips and the ACC is going to be that, he had a team go 13-0 and get left out of the playoff, and he didn't do anything. Like he just caught flat-footed, and you can't at least do that, because when you say all right, what have you done to help promote the league? You can't go after they got completely rolled over and bent over, I wrote a really, really nasty email. Okay, well, what did you do before that? Oh, nothing. I was playing golf.
But hasn't the last couple of years been about someone blindsided? Isn't that what we've basically from Texas OU to USC, UCLA to whatever this becomes of this Big Ten and SEC thing? I still think it's a little bit of fake bark. I think it's more bark than bite, but I understand that at some point that bite's going to eventually bite some real skin.
I think that right now it's not anything to worry about. But I do think that the more that they do things where we're going to form an advisory committee, and the Big 12 and ACC are left out of that advisory committee, like, why aren't they in it? Like, what's like, to me, my question is, all right, I get that you guys have all the money and all that, but why are you not including the other two conferences? Why is this not an advisory committee that is for the future of college football? If it was, then you could add other people to it, but you're not. You're adding you guys to it. That's it. So, and look, it's probably also not great news eventually down the line once TV contracts are up for anybody who doesn't get ratings. And, if you're the ones that are going to be attractive, I keep feeling this, are the ones that when you play a dud on your schedule, you still have 2 million viewers. When you're playing that game, that is, you're 9-0 against somebody's 1-8, and you're still going to get 2 million, as opposed to, might be your best game on the schedule and you only get 875,000. Then those schools are also going to have a problem about, claiming that they're valuable. So, it's not a time, where you think everything you can think. If you're not in the Big Ten or SEC, everything is going to be okay. And I'm sure there's some schools in the Big Ten and SEC that are like, I know we're going to be getting all this money, but we don't really allocate it the same way.
No matter how much they've been maybe protected because of just time, You see behind us, there's there's a Sirius XM has a setup behind us. I was on there earlier today when it came to the Big 12 radio show with Coach McCall and then also Ari. But we are inside NFL media headquarters, attached to the Mandalay Bay, attached to the convention center area around the Mandalay Bay, of course, right here in Vegas. And what you see behind us, there's kiosks with certain businesses, but mainly tables like ours, tables 125 or 30 of them. There's like 159 shows that requested space inside here this year. Now, whether some of them will be here because the Lions lost or because the Bills a couple of weeks ago got knocked out or all of that in between, including Baltimore, I don't know, but we've been here. This is my 30th year of covering Radio Row and Super Bowl coverage. Paul, ever since the year of 2011, which was the one in Arlington, has been a part of Radio Row. And Emery Winter is here and Garrett Ross is here. Craig is back in Waco. He will be helping a little bit the next couple of days when it comes to Tuesday, Wednesday, National Signing Day. And if something does happen, he's there along with the rest of our great staff. We'll hear from Ross Dellenger, Yahoo Sports, about the Big 12 and the SEC and is Washington State. All of what's going on, the landscape there. Also today, Andrew Sendejo, former NFL defensive back. He'll be with us at the end of the show. Gerard Hamilton covers Missouri. They got a $62 million anonymous check donation, and most of it towards their football stadium. Gerard Hamilton will join us. And then, of course, we have to discuss, and I got some NFL notes, Paul's top 5 at the end. John Jacis, who for a few minutes on Saturday evening against Iowa State became Baylor's head coach, interim coach, because Scott Drew was ejected. We'll get into a lot of that. And then also the voice of Iowa State athletics, John Walters, on Brock Purdy. And yes, we will get his thoughts about Saturday night at the Foster Pavilion. I put this up. Can I say this on YouTube?
Say whatever.
I put this up.
I almost dropped one there.
I put this up on Twitter after the game ended that game was batshit crazy.
It was batshit crazy. It was. I mean, look, I got to see, I would say 85% of it once we got to the bar when we got back to Kansas City after being in Lawrence. And we'll talk about my experience there a little bit too, because like if you're a basketball fan and you want a pure basketball experience, that's where you go. But Foster Pavilion the other night, Baylor. The only way Iowa State, because they weren't shooting like they were against Kansas where they made 14 threes for the first time all year. They weren't doing that. They were missing their threes. They were not doing that. Baylor was really great in the first half offensively. The only way they were going to get back in that game was through fouls, really, honestly. And look, that happens. It doesn't, like, whatever you think of the calls individually of should this have been a foul, should that have been a foul, the number was out of whack, especially for a home game in which the home court advantage was very evident in how loud it was and how how much that they were affecting things, especially for Iowa State shooting the ball. Like that's really one of the first times we've seen that repeatedly from a Baylor crowd. Like this is now a few consecutive games where they've really started to affect it. And
even though they lost the triple overtime game, even though that game they almost lost at the buzzer, the shot, of course, was overruled.
It was rowdy. Like they did.
That's right.
They've affected it.
I'll tell you this. I have somebody that I wasn't at that game because I was prepping to get as much as I could done to leave for Vegas yesterday. Somebody at the game, big donor, client of mine. We're both client of each other. He said that had they lost that game, he thought it was on the edge of getting more than rowdy. That was, and by the way, that's a good crowd as long as someone doesn't do something stupid and throw something on the court, etc.
But Baylor's still new to this, like having an arena that the structure of it is not prohibitive to you being loud. That was the problem with the Farrell Center.
Right.
Like, fine for banquets and volleyball and all this other stuff, but when you're talking about getting it super loud for basketball, it was too cavernous. But they had all that, and it does have to be, and I do think this is why we need transparency from officiating in college.
Yes.
Because we don't have it. In the NBA, in the NFL, Major League Baseball, those people have to answer for the decisions they make. Now, they're not put in front of a tribunal of people, but it's a pool reporter that gathers questions and asks them, okay, what is this, for educational and transparency purposes.
In the NFL, there's a pool reporter that gets a comment or two. I don't know if it happens.
David Moore just walked by. He's done it many times. I just saw him for the Dallas Morning News. He's been the pool reporter before, where they go and they ask the questions, and then that job kind of rotates year to year from somebody in the media that is the pool reporter that talks to the official, and that's how that works. But in college sports, when Mack Rhodes has to say after the game, like, look, I'm questioning why those two technicals were given, particularly the first one, you can kind of throw up like, yeah, it looked ticky-tack, but I don't know.
Because you don't know he's been biting,
but I don't know what's
jabbing on him.
But the second one, based on what the rule is about stepping outside the coaching box and where the other coach was at that exact moment, like, when I heard that, I was like, did he call it on the wrong guy and then just have to lean into it? Like,
you're talking about the second technical.
The second technical.
There's an official at midcourt who did not call the technical foul, and you see this all the time. Coaches are trying to say something, an official at midcourt in front of the press row, in front of the main part, will kind of walk a little bit back, and they'll kind of at least communicate. He wasn't even the one. It was the same official from the opposite side of the court on the baseline or even further, and I'm telling you, I'm going to say this. I am not complaining about a single call. I don't do that. You all know that. But that looked personal to me. That looked like for some reason that became personal for a specific official and also at Scott Drew. And here's my whole thing. Scott Drew, if he wants a technical, he can get a technical. He said it in the postgame. He's never tried to get ejected from a game. He never said he's never tried not to do it, get a technical foul, because that's what you want sometimes to get a technical foul. But there has not been a fine announced that I know of. If there's going to be, from the Big 12 office to Mack Rhodes. Now, two things. One, they haven't yet made the decision, or two, does that say something that Mack can criticize the officials and a specific crew that they weren't ready for the moment? What does that say if the Big 12 does not fine him? And if you've been fined by the Big 12 office before, if you're an AD, you're like, wait a minute. Mack specifically, he said, I don't like doing this, but at the crew, you'll be surprised. I'd be surprised if it's not a fine. That doesn't mean I think he should be fined, but you kind of, he and Yormark are tight, right?
Yeah.
But you're doing what you're supposed to not do, is criticize or talk about even if he's right.
He also said, "I don't care if they find me." So that also kind of leads into that a little bit. But I'm and like sometimes you have to say, I don't care if they find me because I need to say this. And these things need to be said. But you could eliminate a lot of this, again, with transparency.
That's right, yeah.
You could, and it also goes, and look, basketball does it for the most part. Like, you could see basketball officials on Big 12 games and Big 10 games and SEC games. Like, I've seen, guys are like, oh, well, he did Baylor's game last night. Now he's doing Kentucky A&M.
They're good.
Yeah, they're good.
They're the best of the best.
The best of the best. Yeah, and so they move the officials around. For football, they don't do that, and they really should. Like, there needs to be no conference officials. It needs to be trained all at the same point, all the rules uniform. They need to do this across the board, but there still does need to be transparency, because any time that something bad happens, like, they'll be like, yes, we do admit that was a bad call. All people are human. Like, okay, well, what are you doing to make your officials better? That's fine. I agree with it. Human beings make mistakes. It was a bad call. That's fine. All we need to know as fans and observers is, how are you going to correct this?
Yeah, or what were you thinking? But when it becomes like I thought I saw Saturday night, which was personal, then, he could always, the official could say it had nothing to do with it. But it looked personal to me. And I'm not, listen, Scott Drew's gotten technical fouls and he's earned them. He's not going to cuss anybody. That's just not what he does. I'm not trying to say he walks on water. When he got the second one, I would think most coaches' reaction would have been kind of lost a little bit. He's just like, you looked up. He was halfway outside the coaching box. Was he trying to be a smartass to the official? I don't know. But that, to me, did look personal. When Iowa State made the 20-0 run, which was spectacular, 17 of those 20 points were at the free throw line. Well, think about it. If you're going to have 3 technical fouls, that could be six free throws right there. So Iowa State almost had a great win at home on the road. They didn't. The shot was overturned. The ball was still in his possession. And unfortunately, not enough is about Baylor winning, which they needed to get to 5-3 with Tech and KU this week. And it's about the officiating. And that's when I then get a little bit, okay, I need to say something myself. Here's Spencer Goff said this. To me, it feels like officiating has grown more and more personal as I have watched athletics over the last 35 to 40 years. That's a long stretch there. It is interesting you used the word personal. That seemed to me personal.
Yeah, and look,
now, the official may never admit that, and it may not have been.
I need the San Antonio guys over here right now. I can't remember the name of the official. Who is the official that had it in for Tim Duncan?
I know who you're talking about.
But you know what I'm talking about. Like, that behavior should not have been tolerated by the league, and they let that guy continue officiating. And, look, I get that you don't like Tim Duncan. Nobody's telling you have to like everybody. That's a silly thing. But you are here and just because he rubs you the wrong way. And, of course, of all the people in the world that rub you the wrong way, the quietest superstar in the history of the NBA, kind of a weird one. He doesn't say much, but when he does, he makes that guy mad. That was just so weird. Again, you have to, no matter what you think, when you decide to put on stripes, when you decide to do that, you have to be really good at Joey Crawford. Thank you, Ryan Davis. Yeah, you have to be really good at leaving your preconceived notions at the door. It's just about that moment. It's hard to do, but you have to be able to.
I have to come to work and put up with you guys every day for 3 hours. Yes. I hide my feelings.
Exactly. That's what you have to do when you're officiating a basketball game. Look, if you don't like Scott Drew, or you don't like Jamie Dixon, or you don't like whoever it is, all right, but you're not in charge of hiring and firing them. You're in charge of calling and enforcing the rules of the game. So whatever decisions you have to make cannot be based on any coach's history. Yeah, you can go in knowing, if you're reffing a Bobby Knight game, I'm probably going to get my ass chewed tonight. And I'm probably and so you have to be.
Doesn't mean you have to like it, but
you have to you have to maybe go in I'm ready to tech somebody for something they should be given a tech for. But you can't be I just don't like this guy. And
I hope you never go into a game as an official saying I have to give a tech for so. I hope you don't even think that way.
You have to be ready to look. I have to be ready to stand up to this guy.
But Bob Knight also has to be ready for an official that he knows they have a conflict of interest or a personality conflict. He needs to understand that too.
Exactly.
And I doubt he ever did.
No, but you have to be able to say this is not about what this coach did in this game or that game, or like one time he rode my ass the whole game, and you know what, I don't like the way he did that. And so you go in there mad at the coach before it starts. Every game has to be its own separate thing. So it doesn't matter that in 2017 you were doing a game and he made you look bad.
Right.
It matters what he does that day.
Yeah, that day. It's like umpires in baseball, and in those, there's certain tennis players that thought there were certain chair officials or umps, but that just for whatever reason, and it set them off a little bit easier. We're going to hear from Ross Dellenger from Yahoo Sports in a moment. Again, behind the scenes, Garrett Ross and Emery Winter. We got in yesterday late afternoon around 4 o'clock or so, had a 2-hour flight delay. It might be about my 20th consecutive flight to anywhere, business or personal, vacation, golf trip, or whatever, that my flight has been delayed. And this one was delayed for a couple of hours because there's some crazy, weird type weather on the West Coast, which we're not that far from. And then also President Biden was in town, or that slowed things up too because of some security issues. So Ross Dellenger today. Also Andrew Sendejo, John Jacis, John Walters, voice of ISU. See what he has to think about all of this. Gerard Hamilton of Missouri getting a huge gift. We're live in Vegas, Super Bowl 58. We appreciate you in the chat room, the text line, and more. This is 365 Sports.
Alan Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget, from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Alan Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560, or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
This is 365 Sports.
The Sikkim 365 app is brought to you by Alan Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Back at NFL Media Headquarters in the Mandalay Bay, David Smoak and Paul Catalina. This is 365 Sports. Craig is back in Texas throughout the week with other particular projects he's working on, but we'll be here throughout the week here from NFL Radio Row. But do what we do, which of course is a lot of college football, and the really great columnist, national columnist Ross Dellenger, Yahoo Sports, joins us on 365 Sports. Ross, thanks for your time. So this format that we're trying to get to in college football with the 12 teams and more, and I saw the note about some things that Kirk Schultz wants some promises. Is he annoying everybody, but also yet doing his job to protect he and also Washington State, Oregon State?
Well, I think that's probably a good way to put it, actually. He probably is is representing, in a way, his constituents, right? And he is requesting, or he's at least made a proposal to conference commissioners and presidents on the CFP board to grant him as in his league, the Pac-12 or the Pac-2, soon enough, some guarantees in order to get his vote for a format change. So he made that proposal a few weeks ago. Not sure of the current situation with that proposal, where it stands, but it certainly received some pushback from commissioners. I don't expect them to guarantee the Pac-12 or any other league anything beyond 2025, and that's kind of was really the main part of my story Sunday on the CFP is that there's nothing beyond 25 right now. There's no contractual playoff at all. There's no agreement. There's no TV deal. The only thing that binds the 10 FBS leagues and Notre Dame together when it comes to the CFP is the media deal with ESPN, which the last year is 2025. There's nothing signed and no agreement, although they're negotiating with ESPN and other partners for an extension. It hasn't happened yet. So that's what everybody should keep in mind. There's no agreement right now. And the Big Ten and SEC continue to grab, more and more control, and as they grab more and more teams, right, during realignment. And so it's an interesting situation right now here in Dallas at CFP meetings, where Kirk Schulz and his proposal in the future format, and more importantly, the future revenue distribution model, is certainly under examination.
Ross, did what the SEC and Big Ten announced last week with this advisory committee about whatever the future is of college football, was that a shot across the bow, a warning shot, or was that, they just haven't been heard from in a while?
Well, I think that certain people in college athletics are taking it as a warning shot, and as a initial step into a more maybe a bigger, more significant relationship going forward in the future with the Big Ten and the SEC when it comes to the future of college football specifically, but college athletics. I certainly think a lot of people are taking it as that. The Big Ten and SEC commissioners at least want everybody to know that it's just right now an advisory committee, but this in all likelihood is a step more in the direction of them in their relationship, these two leagues, in running or steering the future of college sports, and that includes maybe off the field, with the advisory committee, maybe coming up with, things for athlete compensation models in the future and settling some of this litigation, but also on the field, right, with the CFP and the format and the NCAA basketball tournament as well.
Ross, what do you think an acceptable outcome for Kirk Schulz would be? Because I'm sure he's not foolish enough to think that he's going to get everything he wants, but there's got to be some middle ground that he would settle for.
Yeah, I'd imagine there is, and I had kind of heard that there was going to be, maybe a different proposal from him offered at some point, maybe here at the meetings it's being discussed. Maybe it's a less ambitious proposal. Because certainly the first one, right, wasn't going to happen. And, just to kind of recap all this for your listeners, because it has gotten a little complicated. It may be misunderstood a little bit, but the CFP, approved it a year and a half ago, I guess now, approved an expansion to 12 teams starting this year. And it was a 6+6 model, 6 automatic qualifiers for the highest ranked conference champions and 6 at-large spots for the next highest-ranked teams. And what everybody wants to do, given the Pac-12's implosion, basically, of one fewer FBS league, is to go to a 5+7 model instead of 6+6. So you have 5 automatic qualifiers for conference champions, and you would have one more at-large, 7 at-large spots. and you need unanimity across the board, and so you need Kirk Schulz's vote to make that happen, and that's kind of the situation. And I think a lot of people thought during the national championship game when the CFP board met that they would approve the move to a 5+7, but again, Kirk Schulz is delaying it, and you know what? Again, he's probably doing something that's for his constituents, for his representative conference, and for the future of his conference. So you can kind of understand that, but you can also understand why it received pretty loud and emphatic pushback to guarantee the Pac-2 / Pac-12 or any kind of future Pac-12 voting rights or revenue distribution beyond the end of the current term in 2025.
Yeah, it's simple but complicated, and yet he's fighting for his constituents. As you mentioned, there's two of them. Is it to a point where that he could hurt himself, even if they survive the short term, that Washington State, Oregon State, with the power of the others in college football, could hurt himself in the future, not now?
Well, I mean, certainly if he doesn't budge,
yeah.
And it stays for these next 2 years as a 6+6, you could see some kind of backlash. If it stays as a 6+6 with 9 FBS conferences, that would mean 2 Group of 5 conference champions get in every year. You can imagine the original intent of the playoff was 1 Group of 5 champion gets in basically every year. So this would mean 2. So again, you could imagine that a 9-4, 10-3 Group of 5 champion would be in automatically and would pass up a 10-2 SEC team, or a 10-2 Big 12 team, a 9-3 maybe even Big 10 team. So there would be some real issues with that. But Kirk has the power in a lot of ways to maybe do that, to have that done. And if that's the case, you would probably see some retribution from the other leagues. You might see that beyond 2025, because again, no contract, no agreement beyond 2025 on the playoff. Really, certainly not in writing. And there's another whole part of this, and that is in November, the commissioners passed a new rule that doesn't need unanimity, and that is changing the minimum for a conference to 8 teams. So each league must have 8 teams in order to get an automatic qualifying spot. So that basically, right, means that the Pac-2, as since they only have 2 teams, would not qualify for an automatic qualifying spot, which it would behoove the Pac-12 or Pac-2 to want more at-large spots. And that's where I thought a lot of people on the board would have expected Kirk Schulz to understand. But, at least for now, he's wanting more guarantees, and we'll see where that goes.
Ross, Tennessee is at war with the NCAA. It's about to get really interesting in this. I'm not sure if I kind of feel this way about FSU versus the ACC and this antitrust suit. Maybe it doesn't ever come to court, because when it does, there's going to be a lot of people who have to share things that they may not want out there on the record. But how do you see this ending? Do you think that this is the thing that, because it seems like with the Big Ten and SEC thing, that it's prompted more heavy discussion about what the real future is, because the NCAA could spend all of their budget every year investigating people for NIL violations based under their rules. They could spend every second of every day doing it and still not stop it. So they've got to start to be reasonable about it.
Well, this is the case that so many attorneys and sports legal experts predicted what would happen. This is kind of the big case that a year or 2 ago everybody looked to say, hey, at some point the NCAA enforcement is going to start enforcing these murky, kind of ambiguous NIL guidance or policy, and a school is going to sue. And we're going to see in a court of law if the NCAA's rules hold up, which in many other lawsuits has not been the case, right? The NCAA has not had a lot of success in court. So you can view it as a pretty significant case. And if the restraining order is granted, which could be granted any day, and then beyond that, if a preliminary injunction is granted at a hearing, which is scheduled, I think, for February 13th, you could see for now, at least temporarily, all the NCAA's NIL policies, NIL recruiting bans and prohibitions, restrictions, whatever you want to call them, they'd all be, for now, they'd be gone. They'd be unenforceable. And we all know in the other legal challenge the NCAA is facing over its transfer policy right now, players can transfer unlimited right now without penalty or without waiver. So you could have pretty soon players being able to transfer an unlimited amount and be able to receive NIL inducements in collectives and such, being able to legally tamper maybe as well, if both of these cases kind of go as many believe. So it's again, and this all goes back to the joint effort maybe between the Big Ten and SEC to try to come up with a different model, because the NCAA rules are obviously being challenged in failing.
Ross, one more thing. The SMU story, that they come into the ACC thinking they're going to get that distribution, and now that's still up in the air. Why would anyone sign something if they weren't sure they would get that?
Yeah, so that is another issue that commissioners here in Dallas at the CFP meetings are supposed to be discussing, and that is the Power 5 distribution. The CFP distributes a different number to Group of 5 teams than Power 5 teams. About a Group of 5 schools get about $1 million annually each school from the CFP. Power 5 get about $5.5 to $6 million annually. And a few months ago, I think a segment of commissioners, specifically from the SEC and the Big Ten, decided that schools that elevate from G5 to P5 no longer will get that Power 5 cut, and they'll just get their Group of 5 cut. They'll retain the Group of 5 cut, but they won't. It's basically a moratorium on that. And SMU is kind of the first test case. They were under the impression they would get that cut when they agreed to join the ACC, and now that is somewhat in doubt. Not only that, but even their Group of 5, $1 million annual cut from the CFP is in jeopardy as well.
Hey, Ross, thanks for your time. I know it's a busy, crazy time. Just wait a day and something else will happen. We appreciate it. Ross Dellenger, great to have you with us on yahoosports.com, here on 365sports.com. Now, a couple of notes. We're going to get into men's basketball, look at what we have this week, including tonight in the Big 12. Also look back at not just the Baylor Iowa State crazy, but everything else that happened. Paul was in Lawrence, Kansas. His thoughts about the trip to Allen Fieldhouse and coming out alive because Houston was blown out by the Jayhawks. We'll do all that a little bit later. 11 thoughts about this Super Bowl week, Paul's top 5, and much more. But coming up, John Jacis, who was all of a sudden the head coach at Baylor in men's basketball because Scott Drew was ejected. What was that all like, and his thoughts about how his team found a way to win and the week ahead. This is 365 Sports. Samantha DeBall, TexasBeefHouse.com. The auctions keep on being, from what I can tell, a great success, Samantha.
Yes, and they are so much fun. We have people that come out that have never been to any type of auction, and they have so much fun. You can hear and feel the energy in the room, especially when people are high-fiving each other when they've won a lot, or you can tell when people are just bummed when they didn't get that one and they're waiting for the next one, but the energy is just so awesome.
Your father said it's been so successful, you're looking at doing even more and more into the future. Is that correct?
That is correct. We don't have a date yet. yet, but we're looking at maybe possibly sometime in April doing another one. And this one will again be a live auction along with being able to bid online for people that are not local.
Farm-raised, aged Wagyu beef. And now people can get it as they want it. The fact that they can control how much they buy and also how much they pay. How really cool is that?
What we like to call it is price discovery. So we don't want to put a price on our product. We want you to decide what you want to pay for our product. So you get to bid what you want to pay.
Samantha, this company has really gone off. You guys are like setting the standard. What are other people in your profession saying about what you're doing?
After this last auction, we had people reach out to us from Arkansas, from Oklahoma, just so excited for what we're doing because it gives them the opportunity to maybe do this possibly in the future too. So we've had a lot of positive feedback from other ranchers.
Super Bowl coming up February the 11th. Chiefs against the 49ers.
You can still order online before then, and this coming week we'll ship Monday through Wednesday. We've got flank steak, slap steak. We've got hamburgers that you can order and get shipped to you. And you know that we're a really big Chiefs fan because Patrick Mahomes is from our hometown.
Right there in your backyard. That's Samantha Duvall, the great company that continues to set the standard in the beef business at TexasBeefHouse.com.
Shop big savings during the Ram Truck Month at Allen Samuels in Waco. Ram 1500 is the most luxurious and technologically advanced Ram 1500 ever. There's a great selection on the lot and ready for immediate delivery. Ram Truck Month sales event is a winner at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Thank you for calling your local Marco's Pizza. We're turning up the heat with our new Reaper Cheesy Bread. Fresh, house-made dough is topped with a spicy cheese blend infused with jalapeno, habanero, and Carolina Reaper peppers. At only $5.99, this limited-time product is a hot deal. Add it to your order while you can. A Marco's team member will be with you shortly.
Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it, and that offer on the Reaper Cheesy Bread is available right now at any of the 5 Marco's Pizza locations in Waco, including Belmead, China Spring, Robinson, Woodway, and Hewitt. Order online at marcos.com. Call for a pickup or delivery. Marco's Pizza is turning up the heat with their all-new Reaper Cheesy Bread with fresh, hot, house-made dough topped with a spicy cheese blend infused with jalapeno, habanero, and Carolina Reaper peppers. And only $5.99 and for a limited time only. Marco's Pizza, the fastest-growing pizza brand in America. 5 locations in Waco. And the new Reaper Cheesy Bread. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
We continue our broadcast and coverage of Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, NFL Media Headquarters. But obviously, tomorrow night, Baylor and Texas Tech. Former Baylor assistant Grant McCassin, another one in the Big 12 with Scott Drew and his staff, including John Jacis, who joins us. But we have to, thanks for your time. Was Saturday night one of the more bizarre basketball games you've ever been a part of?
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for all you do for Baylor as a whole. And I'm jealous you're chilling at the Super Bowl, so I'm sure that's a good time. But yeah, I've traveled around the world between Athletes in Action and coaching overseas. I've been in gyms where they shot off fireworks and had SWAT teams. And I guess in my situation, as far as a college basketball game in my decade in this sport, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. And it's not just the reffing, the fans are going to focus on that. I think it's the swings and the score and technicals, and then the Foster, because let's give some credit to the new building. I don't know that I've been in a Baylor game where the fans were so fired up and affected the game so deeply. In a lot of ways, they helped save the day. So not just the tension with the refs, but the energy around the new building. I thought it was horrible and remarkable all at the same time.
So just taking us through the moment, because, hearing what Scott said after that, he gets ejected, and it's not like they give you 5 minutes to go over everything. Like, hey,
the guy coming in for the bullpen.
Yeah, you can't do that. It's just like, okay, John, you're in charge now. Go ahead. What was that like? Just trying to, especially in the Big 12 at a basketball game, that in 30 seconds of 3 or 4 possessions can swing rapidly if you don't have your head on straight. What was that like for you mentally?
Yeah, I think that we're in some ways a little more set up for that than other staffs because, for better or worse, I help with the offense and AB helps with the defense, and then Coach New supports him, and Coach P does, and our whole staff is kind of split up, and Tweety does both, and everybody's got their role. So you're kind of stepping into something where everybody's got their role. And so, Alvin's got the defense and I got the offense, and for better or worse, I got to stand up and call the sets because I'm the one who knows the sets. But it's a real team moment in that time. I don't think that immediate moment was what bothered me. I think technical 30 seconds later is what bothered me. And then once we could settle down, take a deep breath, and we went down 7. I feel like it wasn't until that timeout when we were down 7 that we were able to sit with the guys and grab a hold of them. And then coaching college sports, it's a lot about X's and O's, but it's more than anything, it's about 18 to 23-year-olds. And so we were able to look them in the eye and get a hold of them at that moment. And then I thought they settled, our shot creation got better, our shot selection got better. And then we made the adjustment to go man, which was a great call. And I thought that left them flustered. So we were able to get a hold of the emotion again. And then once we got a hold of the emotion again, it just comes down to coaching basketball. And our guys, to their credit, have been in 6 or 7 one-possession games at this point in the league. So for better or worse, they're probably more practiced in those situations than anybody else in the Big 12 right now. So they're the ones that really took the thing home. Their execution was remarkable. But Scott sets the staff up where everybody knows their role. So that part's easy. I think getting a hold of the game again was the hard part.
Last thing on the moment as far as Saturday night, and Paul might have a follow-up too, but are you supposed to be told why you're teed up? Is that part of protocol, or does the official have to say anything to you at all?
Well, I think we should probably parse that out a little bit. Scott Drew has been in this league over 2 decades. I think in the last 4 or 5 years, we're the winningest high-major program in the country. I think that his service to the Big 12 as a whole has been incredibly positive. I don't think that Scott swore at anybody, and there's probably a dynamic that I think just being Scott Drew with a national championship and 2 Big 12 championships in the last 3 years, he probably gets an explanation. Now, I don't know that I get an explanation after that technical, but Scott should probably get one. I think the thing that's hanging in the balance a little bit is on the second one, he's escorted out, so he definitely didn't get a full explanation there. But that's for Mac and him to deal with. I think that his professionalism over the last 2 decades probably deserves an answer, and I think they'll get one. But that's above my pay grade, so I'll leave that to the 2 of them. But Scott's just done so much for this league, and the rest are doing the best they can, but there just comes a certain point where he kind of deserves an explanation. And it's like golf. There's probably an etiquette to who putts first, but at the end of the day, certain things just probably need to happen on a golf course. I think at the end of the day, Scott probably just deserves an explanation in those moments. But we'll move on. We're going to be gracious. Really, all that matters in our league is the next game. But Scott and Mac, I'll let them deal with that.
John, the challenge of coaching when you're in foul trouble anyway, and you've got quick whistles, no matter, if they're right, if they're wrong, how it's going, the challenge for you as coaches is to have to coach them to play through it and not get tight. Obviously that would happen during stretches, but clearly it didn't bother you, especially down the stretch where you kind of just knew it. Is part of it just accepting, like, look, we've got to play our game, and whatever happens, we can't stop them from blowing whistles no matter what?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had to do the offense-defense substitutions with Jaden Nunn and Ray J because Ray J got 4. I think we're constantly balancing how much we use each big because of the illegal screen issues, which is something we've got to clean up because this is one of the best turnover percentage teams we've had in league in my time here. But one of the areas we're struggling with is the illegal screens, but that also leads to foul trouble. And so you're balancing lineups and combinations and foul troubles. That's just part of it. But in some way, there's a freedom because I know 100% they're not giving me a call. And I know 100% at that point, nothing's probably going to fall our way. So we just need to execute, make simple decisions, and have the guys be on the same page. And I thought that they moved on in a real elite way. And you can complain a lot about one thing, or you can increase your ball movement. And I don't know if you noticed down the stretch, but the extra passes and the ability to force them into rotation, that's a top 5 defense in the country. They're number 4 in the country coming into that game. Them and Houston are the 2 best defensive teams in our league. So to be in foul trouble and have all that stuff going on around them, and for them to take a breath and increase the ball movement and stop complaining. And even the threes we missed were wide open ones. And we're probably a couple free throws from really pushing that game to, 6, 7, 8 points. So those are things we'll clean up, but the guys did a great job, and we moved on. And once we moved on, you saw how elite they were at offense.
Well, and congratulations. Now you get Texas Tech, and they're ranked 15 right now, and that might change. And then you got to be careful to look too far down the road because there's that game Saturday in another state. I won't even bring it up. But you don't get time to enjoy very much, do you, when the conference schedule begins? And what the challenges that a Grant McCasland team, who you know so well, bring tomorrow night?
Yeah, you really don't. When you get to February, and this is something I saw on social media I forget, maybe I read an article somewhere, but the question is, will this Big 12 season wear you down before the NCAA tournament? Will there be a couple teams that are shocked by what they're going through? And the immediate turnarounds. When I worked at Gonzaga, it was hard to understand. I would watch the Big 12 from there and compare the leagues, and it's not the basketball piece. Obviously, the best coaches in the country, a lot of them are in the Big 12. It's the emotion. You go through a triple overtime loss, and then you're immediately on to the next thing. You go through a game where Coach Drew gets kicked out, it's immediate on to the next thing. It's hard to stop and celebrate. And if you don't celebrate the wins until midnight, you're just going to get bogged down with a lot of complaining and negativity and who got the most shots and who didn't. You've got to find this way to celebrate college basketball. And that's where Scott's experience being in this league for 2 decades really helps. And so, we're on to the next team. It's obviously coached by someone who's our friend and a dear friend of mine. Grant has helped my family in immense ways. His wife is one of my wife's best friends. But for 2 hours tomorrow night, it's just going to be about the players on the floor. And we've got to get our guys ready. And when it comes to Grant, it's a little odd. Right now they're the number 1 offense in our league, if not number 2, and they're last in defense. It's not historically a Grant McCasland team. But what I know about them is that they totally understand that the toughest team wins. And so when you play a Grant McCasland team historically, if you're not tough, you got no chance. So our guys just need to get ready for a fight. And then in the middle of that fight, you got to be able to take a breath and make a jump shot.
How emotional will this be? You didn't play against him when he was at North Texas. So, of course, Coach Tang, it was, there was no buffer period to adjust to the fact that you were going to be right across from him. Here, it is straight up and down. You are, there with him. So what's it like emotionally for you guys? Because you are, as a coaching staff, such a family. Nobody's left here in a huff. It is kind of a beautiful thing what you guys do.
Yeah, I think we should acknowledge the strength of Scott's coaching tree. And it's so good that people in his tree have become successful enough to end up back in the Big 12, which is the number 1 league in the country. And if you look across the coaching trees, there's other guys who have really good coaching trees, but I don't think there's any coaching tree that's accomplished that. So I think they ought to be thankful for that. And they deserve a lot of credit for how good coaches they are, but I think the opportunity that Scott gave them, it just causes for this behind-the-scenes love and appreciation that each staff has for each other. At the same time, I would say I got a unique experience in this. We played Gonzaga in the national championship, and those are some of my best friends. I worked there 3 years. There's just a habit of having to turn your brain off and coach the game and coach your players. And then whether we're playing Grant's tendencies or Phil Self's tendencies, it doesn't matter. Each coach has tendencies. Now, the fact that I know Mark's tendencies so well at Gonzaga, or they know Scott's tendencies so well, maybe there's an innate advantage in that. I actually think that there is an innate advantage having worked someplace. They've been in our practices. We've never been in theirs. But it doesn't really matter. You just turn it off for 2 hours, and then you see the outcome, and then you move on to the next thing. And the thing about the Big 12, you lose a game, you just have to win the next one. And I think during our 3-game losing streak, people probably thought a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't true. Because if we can somehow get this home win tomorrow, we'll be 6-3 and tied in first place after the first 9 games in the league. So you just have to keep your head above water. And maybe one of the worst things you can do is make this, long trek through the league emotional. So we're not going to get bogged down with emotions with playing Grant. We obviously love them, but this is just about a basketball game. Let's see if we can execute and then immediately move on to the next one.
John, we appreciate it. Great win. Obviously, any win in this conference, and you got to protect your home court. Congratulations on taking over under dire situation, but your kids responded. You responded, as you said. It's a part of what Coach Drew and everybody has built at Baylor. Enjoy the week. I know it's going to be another battering ram. That's the way I always use it, and we appreciate your time and enjoy the win.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'll just say this Foster deal is a part of our battering ram now. So I just appreciate all the support you give us, and the way the fans have come and supported the new building and us this season has been an absolute joy. So we look forward to tomorrow night. Hopefully it's sold out and it's all green and gold and no red and black.
There you go.
So enjoy the Super Bowl, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. John Jacis, Baylor assistant basketball coach, with us after the win Saturday night. Crazy. Home against Iowa State, Texas Tech on Tuesday, Kansas on Saturday. And this is 365 Sports at Super Bowl 58 coverage in Las Vegas.
Allen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget, from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560, or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Here's Purdy with a lot of time. Steps into one. Launching deep. Going for Brandon Ayuk. It is. Oh, he caught it off the ricochet. Penalty. Is he in?
Live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, this is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
Here's Kansas City from the 19. Throwing at the goal line. And it's caught by Kelce for the touchdown.
Our coverage of Super Bowl 58 is brought to you by Allen Samuels House of Travel, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, TexasBeefHouse.com, IdealMRI.com, Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine, Marco's Pizza, Rogue Media, Camille Johnson Realtors, The Tyler Candle Company, United Nissan.
Third down. Four-man rush. Purdy in some trouble. Escapes. Looking for the first down. He's got it and more. Brock Purdy with the legs inside the 30.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at UnitePrivateNetworks.com.
2nd and 10 to the end zone again, and it is intercepted. intercepted by Dion Bush, who just came in 2 plays ago for Mike Edwards.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
Back at NFL Media Headquarters, Radio Row, Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, Nevada, Super Bowl 58, and John Walters, voice of Iowa State Athletics, with us on 365 Sports, and we had John scheduled because of Brock Purdy, and we will do that and talk about that quite a bit here right off the top, but also because of Saturday night's crazy in Waco. We'll get into that Iowa State-Baylor game and all that went with it. John, thank you very much for your time with Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak. What makes Brock Purdy tick?
I think it's relationship with God. Honestly, he just really is a grounded guy. Brock is not a person who allows himself to get caught up in a lot of the stuff going on around him, which is, I think, one of the reasons he's having the success that he is, because there's so many critics out there, and if he was listening to that stuff, it would probably drive him nuts. But he doesn't worry about that. He worries about what his teammates think of him, what his coaches think of him, and he is really grounded in his faith. So when he has highs and lows along the path, and he can get caught in the highs and lows for sure, like anybody else. He's human, but he doesn't allow it to bring down his ability, his belief in his own ability. He really has that belief. He has the confidence that he's a very good player, and so much of it is just grounded in, look, I'm the same guy every day. I'm not changing, and I think that's really what's allowed him to have success.
John, nobody really thought that he was going to have this kind of start to his NFL career, and he was Mr. Relevant. Every team, even the 49ers probably didn't even have that much faith. It just, they took a chance on him with that Mr. Irrelevant pick. But if you look back at, a 4-year starter and all these things, is he kind of proof that sometimes you can get caught up in what happens in T-shirts and shorts and not what happens on film?
I think he absolutely is proof of that. That's a great point. And I think, you got all his measurables, right? His hand size is this, and his, he's 6'1", and he doesn't have long arms or what. Okay, is he good at football or not? He's good at football, and that ought to count for something. And, I see this all the time in the NBA too, where guys, it's so much about the measurables. And then at some point, a guy comes along and just is really good at playing the game, and that needs to count for more than it probably does. And but Brock had 100 touchdowns that he accounted for at the college level. He set 32 school records. I mean, he was 16-1 against Big 12 opponents in Jack Trice Stadium. 16-1. I mean, Iowa State doesn't do that, in its history. And so he's a winner, and he was a winner at Iowa State. And I'm not surprised that he's a winner in the NFL and that he's doing well. I'm just shocked, like everybody else, that he's doing so much so soon. But I'm not surprised that he worked hard and made a team. And, I think one thing that really told you a lot about Brock Purdy was the day he was drafted, okay? He's Mr. Irrelevant. He's the last pick in the draft, which, by the way, Disney doesn't even have to embellish that when they make the movie. They can just say, all right, we don't have to act like he was the third to last pick, but we'll act like he was the last pick. No, he was the last pick of the draft. But when he was drafted, he celebrated like crazy with his family. He was super excited about it, just to get the opportunity. He just wanted that door cracked for him because he knew what he could do. And so I think that tells you a lot about Brock, that he wasn't down about being Mr. Irrelevant or, having to wait that long. He just wanted his chance, and he got it.
So when did you notice something special about him during his career at Iowa State? Was there a moment, I know a single moment, but was there something where you were like, yeah, he's just got the it factor?
Well, honestly, when he first played as a freshman, he came into a game in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and it was his first real amount of time playing, right? Because he had played a little bit of snap here and there, but Kyle Kempt had started that year as the starting quarterback for Iowa State, got hurt in the Iowa game. Zeb Nolan took it over, who ended up being a quarterback at North Dakota State. But anyway, Zeb came in, tried to take it over, struggled. And with Iowa State 1-3 on the season, Stillwater against the top 25 Oklahoma State team, Zeb had a 3-and-out on his first possession. They bring Brock in, and Iowa State scored touchdowns on 5 of the next 6 possessions. It's like, holy cow. I mean, what have we got here? So it was kind of right away. And then he just kept winning that year and had a great freshman year, and he just kept building on it. And, there were some ups and downs along the way. There were times where he maybe tried to do a little too much, and that hurt him. But, he was trying to put a team on his shoulders, and I think one of the things that he's learned from that whole experience is you can't do that. You just have to do your role. And obviously that's what he's doing so well with the 49ers, is really accentuating all those weapons around him, doing a terrific job of just being the distributor and getting it in the hands of all those great players.
He has those moments, and I'm sure that the Brock Purdy moments where he's probably maybe a little too confident, but who doesn't? And it's weird, all the knocks on him are sometimes he throws interceptions. Well, yeah, there's only a couple who really don't. So it seems weird that people often stretch for these things. Do you ever hear that and kind of giggle?
I do, because you want a guy who has the confidence to go make a play. And I get trying to stay within the system and doing what you're asked and all that. And Brock's really good at that. He studies film like a banshee. He is good about making sure that he understands what it is that Kyle Shanahan wants from that offense. But at the same time, he's a guy that can improvise and make a play. And I think one of the things, I was visiting with David Lombardi from The Athletic, who covers the 49ers for The Athletic, and he said, one thing that I think a lot of teams, because I said to him, why did so many teams miss on Brock Purdy? And he felt like one of the things they really missed when they were evaluating him was just his quickness within a little 10-yard box. Not, game-changing speed, not wild athleticism, but just his ability to get away from a pass rush. And he did that at Iowa State. He didn't always have the best offensive lines in front of him, and he had to scramble a lot and get out of situations and create something and keep his eyes up the field. He was really good at that. But in doing so, you are going to make some mistakes, obviously. You're gonna throw an interception now and then. But if you're just going through the game like a robot and you're not attempting to make a play, well, you're probably not going to make any plays, and you're going to cost your team the game. So, yes, sometimes it backfires, but more often than not, it's turned into him being able to make a play for his teammates. And, man, all I have to do is listen to what they say about him. I don't care what some guy in Johnston, Iowa thinks of him. I care about what Trent Williams thinks about him and what Christian McCaffrey thinks about him and what Kyle Shanahan thinks about him. They all rave about him. George Kittle, they all love this guy. So they're the ones that would know.
So, there was this game Saturday night, John, and when we talked about having you on the show, this was not even a part of it, right? This was about discussing Brock Purdy. And then Saturday night at the Foster Pavilion happened, Iowa State, Baylor, and what was just a bizarre night of basketball. What was your impression when all of it ended?
Well, from the Iowa State perspective, just kind of a bummer to not be able to get that shot off in time, because it was a great play to set up Milan Momcilovic for that three. But in reality, Iowa State was in a fortunate position because the clock operator started the clock early, that they had to stop things and let Iowa State inbound, because I don't think they would have gotten anywhere near that good of a shot to begin with if the play just played out. So they were fortunate in that regard. Obviously, there were the 3 technical fouls on the Baylor bench, and I'm not sitting close enough to see what Scott Drew said or hear what he said, or his assistant coach for that matter. That was the one that surprised me the most, was when the assistant coach got one too. But I wasn't able to really gather what was going on there, but it was a strange game. There's no doubt about it. It had a little bit of everything, but I didn't walk away from it feeling like, oh man, Iowa State deserved to win. They could have won, but I'm not sure they should have won. And sometimes you walk away feeling like, okay, they should have won that game, and that wasn't one. I mean, it was just two good Big 12 teams battling. When Iowa State did get on that 20-0 run, I really thought they might be able to close the deal and finish it out. But to Baylor's credit, they went man-to-man. I thought that was a great move. They defended better in the man-to-man than they did in the zone down the stretch, and they were able to claw back and win the game. So a great game, two really good Big 12 teams, two teams that are in the top 20 for a reason, and Baylor was able to pull it out.
So I call it a battering ram, the schedule. Like Baylor tomorrow night plays Tech, and then it's KU, and then, of course, Iowa State. How do you describe the Big 12 in men's basketball, if you could put like a phrase on it?
Battering ram's good. I like that. Gauntlet's one you'll hear a lot too. I mean, yeah, it is tough. I mean, and you can play really good basketball. I think Baylor experienced this, playing really good basketball and still having a 3-game losing streak.
Yep.
I mean, 2 of those losses were in overtime. One was on a buzzer beater by Tyrese Hunter against Texas. And so you can, as TJ Altenberger has said to me many times this year, you can play really well and still get beat. We knew somebody was going to lose the Houston-Kansas game, right? And it was likely, although it turns out that Kansas really kind of dominated that game. But I think back to Texas-Houston last week, that was an absolute dogfight. Somebody's going to lose, right? But both teams played great. And I think what's happening is everybody's beating each other up. It's okay, because when the dust settles and the NCAA tournament bids are announced, the Big 12 is going to do very well, probably have 8, 9, maybe even 10 teams. And those teams, I think, are going to go into competition against these other leagues and do very well. Now, sometimes you get proven wrong on that, but I think the teams in this league are really, really good, and they're just kind of sharpening each other for having a really good March. And I'm hoping that's the way it works out.
John, I was at the Kansas-Houston game, and, if you gave Kansas a normal shooting percentage for the day, it's probably a lot closer game, but they were making every shot. Houston only turned the ball over 3 times. You usually you do that, you win a game going away, but Kelvin Sampson said after the game, he's like, yeah, I don't really think we played all that bad. It's just, we're here in Allen Fieldhouse, and it's a different animal.
So true, and it's so hard to shoot that kind of a percentage against Houston. But if you look, I was looking at the Big 12 only games the other day, the stats for Big 12 only games, and Kansas is shooting like 52% from the floor. They're a very good offensive basketball team. Nobody else is anywhere near 52% on the season in Big 12 games. And so they did what they do. They're a very good team. I think the development of Johnny Furphy has made that Kansas team really dangerous. And, you think back to Iowa State beating them at Hilton Coliseum about a week ago, and that shapes up as a really good win for the Cyclones. And so, it's just crazy to think about this race. And, Houston, Kansas, I think are at the top of the league, but I don't think there's some huge drop-off to the next teams. And I think there's a bunch of teams jockeying for position, and we'll see how it all plays out in the end.
John, one more question and go back to Brock Purdy. And thank you so much for your time. Glad we've been able to get you on the show on the week of the Super Bowl. What do you think a Super Bowl win would not change him based on who we think or what you've said he is, but what would it change as far as the way people look at him? Will they still come up with excuses?
I think they will, because I think human nature is that people want to be right. If they said they didn't think Brock Purdy was an NFL quarterback, then they wait for him to throw an incompletion and interception, and they say, see,
yep,
I told you so. But if you look at the body of work, the stats, I'd encourage anybody to go follow David Lombardi of The Athletic on Twitter. The guy has numbers out there that are just remarkable on Purdy, and what he's done historically is incredible. And so, there's mistakes and bumps in the road along the way, but if you look at the whole body of work, it's like, wow, this guy is doing something really exceptional. And, I think a Super Bowl win hopefully will change a few people's minds, probably not. But if he keeps winning, then sooner or later people are going to just have to say, all right, I was wrong, and I know that's hard for people, but he has proven a lot of doubters wrong already. And I think the thing for Brock, too, that he can't get paid yet, some kind of big bonus for doing things. It's great he got a deal with Toyota. He's starting to get some endorsement deals. That's fantastic. And I think there's not a more marketable guy out there. You talk about putting a Boy Scout at the face of your franchise. You're not going to have him embarrass you in any way. He's going to be a great spokesperson. But, obviously the 49ers, because he's on that rookie cap, they can't even give him more money if they wanted to until after next season. So I think Brock's going to continue to prove himself. And if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to have a long, terrific career. And I'll admit, he found the perfect spot in San Francisco for what he does. And it's a great marriage, and he understands that better than anybody. So I hope he has a long career, and I hope it's all in San Francisco.
John, great stuff. Thank you so much on Brock Purdy, on Iowa State men's basketball, that game Saturday in Waco, but much more. John Walters, voice of Iowa State athletics. And anytime we have someone from Iowa State, we want to always say hello to Nick Jose, a great friend of ours, was at Baylor for many years, and at Iowa State now, and helps us get people in touch contacts, of course, Jamie Pollard, AD, and many more, has gotten us Matt Campbell a time or two. We're live in Vegas. A story came down a minute ago on Dartmouth. Everyone remember when Dartmouth wanted to form a union? This is from Steve Berkowitz. Today, the National Labor Relations Board, the regional director in Region 1 Boston, issued a decision and direction of election ordering a union election for men's varsity basketball players at Dartmouth in Hanover, New Hampshire, to vote on representation by a local union.
Yeah, it's coming, and unionization is a very hot button issue in this country, but I would tell you that you need to have two sides pushing and pulling against each other in order for things to work out the best. Anytime you let something like, I know you like watching your favorite team blow out the opponent, but you probably have more fun when it's a better game and they win, right? Like that's how I'm kind of.
I don't know. I liked it when my team used to just win. Yeah,
yeah,
you're right.
But like do you remember the blowouts of the little teams? No, you remember a great win over a great team, right? That's what you think about. You remember when Nebraska finally beat Miami for the first time, like that, right. The feeling you have there. That's what I'm saying when it comes to these things. And most of the people that say unions are bad are the people who are going to suffer most from them, which are billionaires. Which a billionaire suffering a lot from something is not really that tragic of a deal because they've got plenty. Like the getting the most and making sure that workers are taken care of is important, and that's how this country was built, and that's how we had some of our greatest times. If we had, the back and forth. Now, look, can things get too crazy where you have police unions that are run amok, or teachers unions that don't really help the teachers, or unions that aren't really helping the people that they represent? Absolutely. Just like on the other side of it, you can have gigantic business titans doing things that are ridiculous and cruel to the people who work for them and make them all that money. And that's where the NCAA is going to see itself now, is like, look, you can negotiate this out, which is the best way to do things. Things get done in the middle. That's how we move forward amicably as a people. Things get done in the middle. Nobody's 100% right, and most of the time people are 100% wrong. I mean, there are exceptions to that, but there are ways that we can all live our lives and do things, and unions are coming. So you can either embrace it or you can keep fighting it, and eventually.
So you think the whole country is going to be unionized? All businesses are going to be?
No, unions are coming to different things. Look, different states have different things. Like in Texas, we're not a union state. It's going to take forever to get that done, but unions are coming a lot of places. Look, Amazon's going to have one. And then, the states that have Amazon distributorships and employees that get taxes from that are going to have to accept it because Amazon's about to have one. That company's
grown
so
right
big.
there in the middle of Waco.
Yeah,
Amazon distribution
it is.
center,
So those things are coming, and it's cyclical. Look, if you ever remember your middle school history and Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, which was about meat packing and all that, that led to unions for workers' protection because, people were eating fingers and things like that. That stuff needs to be regulated. You have to do those things. Now, again, like I've said many times on this show, we as Americans, and probably the world, but particularly America, we are not good at setting rules and regulating things. We either don't do it at all or do it way too much. I got
to be honest with you. That I just live my life. I don't get into all that.
But it is.
I mean,
but when you're I'm just trying to explain the nuts and bolts of things and why it doesn't.
I get it. We're getting real government type and all that. But because I brought up the union and my point of it all was, what does this mean for college athletics? We'll come back with more of that, and we're not done. We have guests around the corner. We'll have Gerard Hamilton. He covers Missouri. They're getting a big, huge check for $62 million. For their stadium renovations and upgrades, and also much more when it comes to NIL. All of that, we're not done. We're going to be up until about 6 o'clock. We're in Vegas, NFL Media Headquarters, Radio Row in Las Vegas.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life. for generations to come. So get connected. Get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Our good friend Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jewelers here at 365 Sports. Now, Brad, people who watch and listen to our show know I'm a double-time customer for you, engagement ring and wedding band, and you guys do that great, but that's not all you do at Boozer's Jewelers.
Absolutely. And I always like to say, it's a new year. It's a great way to start the year out. Go through your old jewelry. Go through your wife's jewelry box. Go through anything you're maybe not wearing, something that's broken, something that you're not using. We do a massive amount of custom work. We can take your old jewelry, old diamonds, old watches, and we can convert it into something special for you and make a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And if that's not something you're interested in, a great thing is we can turn that into cash. So we buy gold, we buy diamonds, we'll buy Rolex watches, any kind of heirloom jewelry, anything that's maybe passed down to you.
Boozer's Jewelers, where do they find you, Brad?
We're at 1025 North Valley Mills Drive, right on the corner of Lake Air Drive and Valley Mills with the big clock on the corner.
This is 365 Sports. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
So as we were here at Radio Row at our spot here in Vegas, and we were kind of going over some of the guests, things are lined up, people that are brought to us, and it gets, as each day or two?
I'm sure some timing is a part of it for sure, but winning speeds everything up. I'm sure maybe this stuff may have been in the works for who knows how long, but when you're winning and you're seeing, what happens when your fan base is involved. They had 5 or 6 sellouts in a row or something like that. They're winning games. They're getting high-level prospects. They're getting top 10 players in the country. They're winning these big bowl games, stuff like that. You just get a ball of momentum, and stuff like this comes about. And then the way Drink has been recruiting, since he's gotten here, he's had some of the best recruiting classes this program has ever had. I think this is their 3rd or 4th top 25 class since 2000 or something like that. And all this, most of this has been under his watch or whatever. And I may be getting that stat wrong, but kind of get my point. He's been recruiting really well. This program has plenty of momentum, and then you get something like this. Again, it goes back to that stability I was talking about, as far as NIL-wise and being able to get some of these, key players.
Gerard, they are going for it. Now, it appears that they are. And I'm sure fans thought for a while they were kind of caught, in stasis and what's going on with Mizzou. But look, money's coming in to help improve the stadium. Money's coming in to help NIL. They're, about to get more money in their TV contract. Is this the Mizzou administration, the powers that be, that said, all right, we're coming off a really good season. It's time to hit the accelerator?
Yeah, it's go time, basically. And I know basketball is struggling right now, but, it kind of helps that last year, they went to the tournament last year. And then, so you just think about the calendar year 2023 for Missouri, with specifically those two sports, go to the tournament. They have all this momentum of recruiting in football. Then they have the great football season. Yeah, stuff starts turning around. And so now it goes from how, I guess, things usually is for most schools that aren't, blue bloods or those top programs where you're kind of just like building along. They got this NIL law in the summer pass. Now they got this money coming in with all this momentum. It's go time. It's time, especially and with the 12-team playoff and all that other stuff that goes along with that. It's time to, really put your foot on the gas pedal and see what you can do now. There's so much more opportunity, and it's just all hitting at the right time.
Well, you got Texas, Oklahoma coming in, but there's a void right now. That Alabama, that Georgia, Alabama, there's a little bit of a void. Ole Miss is trying to take advantage of it, but with Florida down, and then obviously LSU slipped a little bit. Do they feel like there's a void too for them to take advantage of the vacuum?
Yeah, but I think most schools, and we're not going to use Texas, Oklahoma right now because they haven't been to SEC. But most people see all right, Georgia and Alabama, if we're just talking football, they're usually 1 and 2 in some type of way. And then there can be a number of teams that fill in the rest. A couple years ago, Tennessee, that was that team that was right there that could beat an Alabama or give Georgia a run for the money or whatever, and the other teams in the league kind of feel that way. Yeah, so now that, pretty much everybody considers the GOAT is not, coaching at Alabama, even though they're bringing a national championship contending coach in there, it's not saving. So people are thinking, could Missouri do something there? Georgia, they still are definitely going to be in the title picture, but they had they didn't do the three-peat. They fell off. They missed, by that one game. So they're a tiny, tiny, tiny bit vulnerable. But, for these other teams, especially like a program with Missouri that was a top 10 team that beat a top 10 team in the Cotton Bowl and has all this momentum going, they're saying, again, our time is now to kind of attack that and get in that upper echelon and not just be a team that every few years it's Missouri that's, one of those top teams, and then they get cycled out by, whatever other, SEC team. They want to make it a consistent thing.
What do the fans think about no divisions anymore in the SEC, and can that benefit Mizzou?
I think they're okay. It's okay. Everybody's schedule is different. I think they definitely will love not playing Georgia. They'll love not playing Georgia guaranteed every year. But there's some things that is it's good and bad. There's while you don't like playing, Georgia every year. What's the team you probably like playing? It's no disrespect to them, but they like playing a team like Vanderbilt or something like that. They're not too tore up about it, especially because they're still a little bit newer to the conference than most of the other teams in the league. So it's really about their schedule. When you look at their schedule this year, I mean, even before Alabama and Nick Saban left and all that stuff, people were saying 10-2 at worst, 11-1. Now people are starting saying 11-1, 12-0. So I mean, depending on how these schedules shake out every year, I feel like maybe they'll go back and forth. But I think a lot of Missouri fans are really excited about this year coming up.
Gerard, one more question for me on the stadium, the improvements, $50 million. Of course, we see programs just getting these checks and renovating the arms race, so to speak. How desperate did the stadium need some improvements, and have they really been talked much about what they need to improve the most first?
Well, I think it's right. I want to say it's the north end zone. I could be getting that wrong, but yeah. I mean, when I go into the stadium the last couple of years I've been there, obviously from my view, I don't, I guess, know the same as everybody else, but It's just kind of, it's a smaller stadium when you compare it to other SEC stadiums. I think it holds maybe somewhere between like 62 to 66, 67,000 or something like that. So it's a little bit different. They want to kind of expand on that, make it, they've done a lot of great things. I think they cheapen the prices on some of their stuff, like for other sports and stuff like that. So they're trying to, like, Desiree Reed-Francois, she's doing a lot of different things trying to get this place going, and not just the teams, but like the stadium itself. So it's not that it was like in desperate need. It's not like it's a construction site necessarily, but again, momentum coming up. Why not do this? Why not expand? This is the perfect time to. You get in the money, you got all the momentum going, and when you're having sellout after sellout, I think you can see why they would want to do something like that.
Well, look, I'm guessing, even though they're not really rivals anymore, that a guy with $62 million just to give away probably lived through the border war times. And Kansas is building a new football stadium, so if you've got the money, like, you can't let Kansas have it, Mizzou not, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're exclusive to one another, but I mean, Kansas is doing what they're doing, building up their stadium. There was somebody who was saying, I can't let that go untouched, especially with how well Missouri is doing. It could be a coincidence more than anything, but if it is, it's the funniest, most ironic coincidence there is.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the timing and everything. Thank you, Gerard. We appreciate it always when we need Missouri information, you being available. Have a great day from PowerMissouri.com. That's Gerard Hamilton with us on 365 Sports. One of the comments, and this is when Power Mizzou put the story out there about the $62 million gift. I like this response. This could be a random fan, but I like it. Actually, it's from an attorney. As per the shots by whoever at Missouri's football season being a one-off, this donation assures Mizzou and their place as one of the preeminent NIL operations around the country because of the state laws and what they've done, and now the extra money, $12 million, towards the Tiger Fund. When we come back, we're live in Las Vegas, and we are inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center, NFL Media Headquarters, Radio Row. And special thanks to Alan Samuels' House of Travel. They set us up with our airline tickets, also the Airbnb that we're staying at, and we'll have to get Emory and Garrett's opinion on that when we come back and discuss it, the amenities, and hopefully what we bring back to you wherever you might be, no matter where you are, in the country or elsewhere, with 365 Sports from Super Bowl 58.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow @GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student-athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive in North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist's office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
David Smoak, Paul Catalina, Emery Winter, and Garrett Ross are on camera.
I don't know if they just understand what happened here. America's greatest sideline reporter,
Christy Scales.
Scales just came and said, hello, Garrett. I know you've produced a lot of Cowboys games. Christy is second to none in the industry. That broadcast is great.
Her preparation is phenomenal. And her just the way she handles what otherwise is a very stressful position occurs. By the way, the Missouri segment with Gerard Hamilton from Bracket Cat, a K-State fan. Missouri Stadium was a total dump when I was there in September. Other than some concession renovations and box suites, they really needed this anonymous gift. So thanks to, I don't know about whether it's a dump or not, but I appreciate the text on that. So now, I just put this up in the chat. Any questions you have for any of the 4 of us in the chat room, anything goes segment right now, and I will answer all of the dirt because I am the babysitter in this relationship.
Yeah, sure. Nothing's happened yet. We went to Joe's Stone Crab with Q last night. That was amazing. That was great. a lot of times when you have a restaurant like Joe's that's, famous in South Beach and they build another one, the other one isn't the same. Well, Las Vegas doesn't allow that to happen. So as a person you and I have both eaten at both Joe's, at both of these locations.
South Beach.
Yeah, South Beach and here. So I can tell you, it brings the heat. It's
incredibly expensive.
Well, they get you. They get you on
you
things.
guys wouldn't know.
Yeah. That's Smokey's way of saying he paid for dinner last night.
These 3 year. I saw Paul reach for a card.
I had it.
But you just never really, there's something about.
You just gotta act like you're.
There's a man rule.
Hey,
you ever see that? It's like I can't. I had mine out. Q did, and Paul's over there shuffling around, and then Garrett. You had fish and chips.
I had fish and chips.
Honestly, was that the cheapest thing on the menu?
It was that or the crab bisque. And I almost went with the $6.99 crab bisque.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
I told you I was going to help you. Yeah. Emery, what did you have?
I had
some pasta?
King crab linguine. Oh, it was good.
Was it really good?
Was
it real thick, though, like almost like heavy? It wasn't? Like not Alfredo sauce type stuff? All right. Paul ate everything, and so did I. We had Rockefellers. Oysters, Rockefellers. We had the
crab claws.
The crab claws to me, I'm telling you,
good.
I see. Too much work. Like shrimp is my favorite, but usually, I can peel it pretty. But the crab claws, I'm telling you, they usually crack them pretty well, but it still seemed like I was having to work for it, and I don't want to do that. We all had something else. It was great. So that's where we were.
That's the motto for crab. Crab, you got to earn it.
Yeah, Paul fumbled the credit cards as opposed to going to the bathroom. Well, that would have been a good excuse to use.
No. I mean, like I'm paying for all the Ubers.
This is the first time I have ever seen or heard Emery not what I was expecting. That's from Bracket Cap. What was that? Oh my God!
Well, now I'm curious what he was expecting.
Yeah, I want him to get, do you know a police sketch artist that we could get with and just draw what you thought Emery looked like?
Well, I mean, based on what Smoak and all y'all talk about me, I mean, I'm sure that what they thought was completely different.
Yeah.
Let's see here. If Garrett is the LSU fan, can you ask him if they are done taking defensive coaches from Missouri?
I think they are at this point. I know that they were able to definitely grab the defensive coordinator and some others. But look, man, LSU had to do something. And what are you going to do? You're going to find somebody else who had success last year. I think if you look across the nation at what Mizzou was able to do, they showed that's the spot you want to go and get your guys from. And the people they brought over, it's not like they have no connection to the program. These are guys who have been at the program before. They have deep connections within the state of Louisiana. So you got to do what you got to do. I hate it. I mean, I don't hate it for Mizzou fans. I know y'all hate it, but,
This is the test of a program, and this is why what Saban did for as long as he did it, when his staff was rated almost annually.
Yeah.
And then he had those, come to Jesus assistant coaches, analyst tours for the rehab program, and they were taken. And he continued just to fill the staff. And even last year with Kevin Steele, who we know the big game part of it since 20 years ago, has not always been there, a great recruiter. And then they had Reese, who in the end, Alabama's offense was I just never thought Milroe, the run he made in the middle of the season was phenomenal. But I still wasn't sold on him. Michigan was just too good. So there we are, the question with LSU. Tell us what you thought of the officiating Saturday. Do you think anything will come from the Mac's comments? I do think he'll be fine. I almost think the conference, anytime someone makes a public comment, and Mac, as you said, I could get fined for this, but he had I guarantee you there's a lot of ADs that are going, I wonder if Yormark's going to fine his buddy.
Yeah.
Or there's going to be some that says, thank God he said it, not me, because he's right. The Big 12 is too good to have officials that are so up and down.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. The officiating, look, at the very least, it was very off-kilter. And at the very least, it was very overly sensitive when it came to technical fouls. So, I mean, I'll just use the example of, I've watched Kim Mulkey do a lot of things that should get technical fouls, and the officials, like we talked about earlier, Smokey, you know what they did? They tuned her out until they didn't have to anymore. But they're like, all right, that's just Kim. She can yell and do all that. She just got ejected a couple weeks ago. She throws her jacket and does all those antics. And I've seen all that happen with no technicals. And then to see a guy...
Well, the good news about her, you don't know if she's there because she dresses so plain Jane, right?
Yeah. But to see a guy step over a line with his toes and get teed up, and that's the explanation given, that is the epitome of BS, because you can ask them, like, well, what about the times that, like, watch John Calipari? Does he even know what the coaching box is?
No, and quite frankly, Jamie Dixon from TCU's all over the place. But everybody is.
And, like, here's the thing.
Somebody said, well, he's not feared, Scott Drew. You don't have to be feared. To me, you need to be respected. And I don't know why Scott would not have everybody's respect for what he's done, but also how he goes about his business.
And I'm not condemning anybody for not calling a tech when somebody goes to the coach's box. It's an emotional game.
Yep.
Like, that's just how it is.
Coaches want to get teased sometimes.
Yeah,
as a game changer.
The only time I've ever seen Scott really, this is not 100%, but most of the time I've seen him get one because he wanted to get one. He wanted to send a message across. He got his tee, and then after that, like, he had made his statement. But to never be ejected in 20 years as a head coach.
700 and some games.
Yeah, never be ejected.
Which is 20 years or
and
so.
everybody's got a couple, right? Everybody's got a couple.
Yep.
You know what happens? Even the most calm coaches have a couple. For him to take 20 years and not 4, or, I got one early on, kind of tells you that this one has an outlier a little bit and maybe should have been treated a little bit differently.
It did seem personal, and there was a text. I'm not going to share the text because who I text would be a part of college athletics. Is that I wasn't going to say this publicly. I'm not. It looks shady. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm not saying it, but it did look that way. It looked a vendetta or a personal whatever. And whether or not the official's not going to have to say anything. The conference could also reprimand if they feel like the officials let this thing get out of whack, which is debatable. I still think that Scott, I still think that Mack Roach, I think if you're going to fine ADs for making comments, even if there's right, if you're going to make them, you're not supposed to make comments about the officiating, and there's a rule for that, and you get fined. And by the way, if he gets fined, he won't care, and you shouldn't care either. He made his point.
Well, and he also made his point knowing that would happen.
Yeah,
so
that there's a very good chance. So whatever amount of money.
This is not someone popping off and then you give them a fine. Like, he walked out there and was very aware of the consequences of his actions. So it's not like, he's not asking you to be, poor pitiful Mac, the Big 12 is going to pick on him by this fine. He went out there and said what he said because, sometimes it's worth it.
How much do you think he'll get fined? And I'm looking back at Kirby Hocutt, and I don't know if the total was ever released because of the butt fumble. The conference has issued a public reprimand and $25,000 fine for Texas Tech AD Kirby Hocutt. Wow. Those guys make good cash.
Yeah,
I mean, they're making 7 figures. Most of not all ADs, but the ones that most of that would think you could sell the group of the Power 5.
Well, I mean,
Mack's one of the top 5, I think, highest paid ADs in America because of what he walked into, and then also because even though there's some hits and misses there of what he's done for Baylor.
Yeah. So again, I mean, maybe they have a fund. Like, you have to.
There's going to be a GoFundMe. Yeah.
You talk to your money guy. Well, that's the thing.
Sycam365.com premium section. Some of the guys in that premium section can write a check for that and not even blink.
They did. Texas Tech did a GoFundMe for Kirby Hocutt, and I was like, honestly, he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
Well, that also begs the question because, whenever there's such an overwhelming agreeance of how bad the refs were, why can the AD be fined because of what he said, but then the refs, whenever it's as egregious as that.
Well, we don't know what they're doing. That's the thing. Yeah. You don't really know. Sometimes you'll get information that an official's been suspended or reprimanded, but for the most part, it seems like if they are reprimanded, etc., you don't hear about it.
And look, I get you have to protect.
Everybody's fair game. What do you protect?
You have to protect officials in the fact that sometimes the world doesn't need to know exactly who they are and what they're doing because there's you're protecting them from the crazies. That's what they're doing. But also, you may be doing too much for it.
But one of the things I read, I think John Huggins, who I know.
Yeah, got death threats.
You got death threats because people just didn't like him for calls or whatever. But if you are reprimanded by the conference, and if a coach or an AD is going to get reprimanded, or a player is going to get reprimanded, suspended or fined, players wouldn't get fined, then why not those who are also controlling the game?
Yeah, I agree with you, but I do think I think the way that official suspensions usually work when it comes to college athletics is they just find out they're not going to go to places for 2 or 3 weeks.
That's what I was going to say. Like, would you just say you're banned from the Big 12 tournament, or you're not allowed
They
to
just
do March
they
Madness?
just don't put them on it. They tell them, like, look, you guys are off the schedule for a couple weeks,
right,
and then that's it. Like, it's not, maybe they send a top secret memo out to the coaches and be like, here's what we did.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to see him for a couple weeks, and then they're back, and then the coaches know, but the rest of the world that has no idea. And I think part of the reason they do that, and it's in contradiction to itself, is I think when you publicly suspend an official, it calls into question the credibility of your hiring of officials. So then people start calling into the credibility of everything.
Yeah.
So
is it Curtis Shaw who's in charge of them?
So if you keep keep it quiet, I mean, especially, people aren't, there's so many college games out there, they're going to be like, I haven't seen that crew from the Baylor Iowa State game in a couple weeks. And just all of a sudden they'll pop up again a couple weeks later and no one's the wiser.
And the next time they officiate a game,
they took their medicine from the league.
But then don't put yourself in a position to be reprimanded.
Exactly.
Do your damn job.
Yeah.
And I know it's a hard, in fact, there's a few fans that are yesterday, Saturday night, stop saying it's a hard job. Everybody's job in some ways is at some point, no matter who it is, a hard job. That Saturday night was different than just missing calls. Also, by the way, the last play that led to Iowa State, Garrett hitting the shot that was overruled, why would they take the ball out at midcourt and not at the baseline at the end of the court where the damn violation occurred in the first place?
I think in that one, you might have said there was just so much going on. They were constantly having to go over to the clock. It just kind of gets lost in the motion. But as far as, the statement on everybody's job is tough, I would agree. I think to a certain degree, everybody's job is difficult. The difference in that one is not everybody's got millions of people watching you do your job at that moment. All those eyeballs, the pressure, everything in it. I think that's the biggest difference. It's as the human element, sometimes that's going to get to you internally. And I think that's the biggest
on top
difference.
of that, the replays, slow motion, it is a difficult job. It's faster, bigger, better, faster, stronger athletes than ever before, but you also know that going in.
Yeah.
You do. And there may not have been anything that was personal. It may not have been a vendetta. It might have just been a bad night for Scott Drew and also the official too. I don't know. A lot of you, even let's see here. Which has a better job security, refereeing or a weatherman?
Weatherman.
Weatherman. Look, we've had one here. We had one in Waco forever that was at a bar during the worst tornado that they'd had since the bad one in the 30s. He would work for 17 more years before he retired. And he wasn't even the best one. He wasn't even the best one.
I don't
just liked him.
Like a lot of times we're on until 6, often we do promos. I don't even get home most of the time. And now I go to bed now before 10 most of the time anyway.
But yeah, I mean, so no, Weatherman has
Weatherman in San Diego.
Here's the other thing. Yeah. Here's the other thing about officials. Part of the reason they have job security is that the only way that you can grow officials is to have them work high school games, middle school games, JV games, all these things, so that they learn the game, they get good at it, and then you can call them up. It's a lot like baseball. It would be, if you just want to, start hiring people, it's like baseball with no minor leagues. You can't just go you know what? Fred's a good dude. He seems pretty measured. You are now an SEC official. You're going to be the back judge. We'll start you out with an easier job, and then we'll move you up. No, you have to start out at the lower levels, and less and less.
And by the way, get demoted if you're not any good.
Yeah, and
or make too many mistakes.
And less people are doing that because it has become a very low-paid and thankless job, and it's gotten weird in that, if you're a high school official in Texas and you could be 25 years old in your first game and you miss a pass interference call, you got people saying that we're going to, all these people yelling at you, and you're like, I'm out here for $72. Like I'm not.
Oh,
like,
it's more than
I know, but like
you're
that's
talking about a high school game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like a
they don't
JV,
get
like a
along,
J, like
yeah.
you know, like especially working like a JV.
There's a reason why there's
like
an officiating a referee shortage in high school football.
So we have to maybe do better as human beings and like let refs be refs at the lower levels and not think that like there's some kind of grand conspiracy against the Temple Wildcats JV basketball team. So like just do that. But that's why you have a shortage of officials.
I just think most people just don't. I just think that everyone's mad.
Yeah.
And so things that, you miss a call, whatever. I needed an umpire. Craig was in Little League and ended up having to walk to the car. I was asked to leave. That was kind of a proud moment. Great dad, bad dad, awful human being type of moment, but,
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say don't do it because I've done it. I needled the hell out of this guy. He finally had enough, and that's fine. Someone wanted to know the name of the. We're not going to get into the weatherman that Paul's talking about.
Gary knows what I'm talking about.
All right, so one more. Again, we mentioned Alan Samuels' House of Travel set us up with its Airbnb. It's very nice. It's gorgeous. It's a 2-story, right?
Yep.
With a garage on the bottom floor, and then what would be the first floor above the garage? No, that would be
it's connected.
That would be where my mansion is on the top level.
Yeah, that's your mansion. Definitely.
Yeah. They're upstairs. I've got a little room in the corner, and it's nice. It's quiet. It's secluded.
Yeah, you're kind of hidden.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't even I could.
Although today, when I walk out to the kitchen to get my amino energy, you weren't hidden. You were just right there, the whole world to see you.
I walked from
the hallway, but
the bedroom,
you were hanging out.
I wasn't. I had my shorts on. I was about to get in the shower. I mean, I'm not gonna go into the bathroom completely dressed. I can take my shirt off for a second. I didn't realize you were gonna be leering at me through the kitchen.
I couldn't help it. I mean
you couldn't
here
help
comes
it.
this Paul.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've been in 7,000 hotel rooms. It's nothing you haven't seen before.
And you still to this day deny that we slept in the same bed.
We've never slept in the same bed.
In Surprise, Arizona.
We've never done that. Although, listen, based on that couch, I would have considered it. Third night, I would have been you know what? F it.
Paula, okay, this is too much information. Yeah.
No, but it's great. They have. I'm in the market for a new washer and dryer, and I really like the ones that they have downstairs. So,
always.
You can turn that setting off. I'm sure. I'm not going to because it's not ours. But the washer, I was doing clothes last night because I had I was going to pack 17 days worth of clothes, but.
What is this 17 days? You were in Kansas for 3 days.
Yeah.
2.5.
But
3.
it feels like it when I've got equipment I got to bring.
You have 8.5 days. That's a
long trip to pack clothes. So I knew I'd do laundry. But it plays its little, all washing machines have a little jingle now.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just an alarm. It's a ding, 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 ding. And then, so it just keeps doing it until you go and open it up.
Anyone buy a washer and dryer because of the ding, 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 ding? No. Paxton, now I know why Craig didn't go. Believe me, there's a lot of reasons, but no. All right, 5 o'clock hour around the corner. Emery, anything else you want to say? Are you even having fun? You're a rookie.
I'm having a great time.
Is Emery a rookie?
Yeah, he's a rookie.
This is his first big moment. This is when he got his driver's license. First time he's been to a big event like this for us, at the Super Bowl at least, right?
Oh yeah.
Emery saw John Taffer of Bar Rescue today.
The hell is that? Oh, the guy with the bald head like mine, right? That renovates.
He was wearing a hat today.
Yeah.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that called again?
Bar Rescue.
Bar Rescue. Yeah, that guy, that's a big man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, when he comes in and yells at you and says, what would your grandfather think about this?
Yeah.
It's gotta carry some weight.
Yeah, that's a hell of a show. All those shows, there's those cooking shows now where they, what's the one where Robert, it's on the Food Network where he goes in and a restaurant's failing and you can see everything's blah and the guy in the kitchen in the back's not, I can't, Levine?
Yeah. And then, of course, there's Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Here's what those shows really are. they are a message to you that if you and your buddies think you should start a bar or a restaurant because one of you is good at making cocktails and the other one makes a killer burrito, you should just say no. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
You haven't met my friends. We can do this. We can do this.
We can do it.
We have an idea that's never been done. No, you don't.
No,
you don't.
Yeah,
they've all been done.
Please stop. Please
A
stop.
bar with no last call. There we go. That's it.
Okay. Been done in many cities.
Many times. When we come back to 5 o'clock hour, including Andrew Sendejo, former Vikings and played with the Cowboys and elsewhere in the NFL as a safety from Rice University. This is 365 Sports.
Allen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
This is 365 Sports.
The Sikkim 365 app is brought to you by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. Paul, Emery, and Garrett. Smokey had to make a trip to the restroom, and it is it's a bit of it's not a hike,
trek,
but it's long enough away where it takes you about 3 minutes, 4 minutes to walk there. Another, I don't know how much time he needs in there. I mean, and then
there's no telling.
Yeah, who knows? And then you got to walk back. So, we only had the 3.5 minute commercial break there. So here we are live on Radio Row. Andrew Sendejo in just a little bit here, and he is a former Cowboy, only a year. Played a lot for Mike Zimmer, who is one of the candidates. It appears Mike Zimmer and Ron Rivera, the candidates to replace Dan Quinn as Cowboys defensive coordinator. So he played for Mike Zimmer for a long time.
Would you, given if those were two options right now, who would you rather have out of those two?
I'd rather have Zimmer.
Just because of the history, track record, everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, if you get into, them as coordinators, you might get down into the, splitting hairs.
Yeah.
I think Rivera was an excellent coordinator. I think he was a good head coach. I think he's a good head coach.
I liked him as a head coach.
I don't know if he's ever been given the right ownership group, to really do that. I mean, I think he clearly is a very patient man.
Yeah.
Because he worked for, Jerry Richardson in Carolina before that all fell apart, and then he worked for Dan Snyder. So he really has gotten the short. Like the two owners have been forced to sell their teams. That was who he worked for. But I do, because everybody knows I was at Kansas and Houston this weekend, and I will tell you about my Fog Allen experience. It is, and I'm not saying this because my wife will see it and like this and all that. And I probably should have sent you some pictures and things you could throw up. I've got tons of stuff.
We can throw out tomorrow.
We can throw out tomorrow. But like, just, it was, there are sports venues I've been to. I've been to, Fenway Park and Wrigley Field and Dodger Stadium and Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden is like this. I've had all these like great experiences. Like I've been able to go so many different places. And there is not a home field advantage in sports like that.
Right.
I mean, it's just, they were so, and it's what Scott Drew wants to happen with Foster. It's what every coach wants to have at their home field. And I would say the students are as organized as like A&M when it comes to like cheers and stuff, except they have the confidence of knowing they're probably going to win this game. Like, and I'm not even knocking A&M. It's just knowing, like, I've been there a lot, and that's a great atmosphere for a game. One of the best you can ever go to. Even if you're not a fan of A&M, it's a historic thing. But like the fact that like, are these yells affecting this game at A&M has at best been a 50-50, shot.
Definitely.
With Kansas, 90% or more, they're going to win in that building. Always. That's how they are. Bill Self has made it even more of a home court advantage. And when you walk through it, part of it is, look, James Naismith brought basketball there. Like, it was developed and brought to life there.
Yeah.
So there is this aura about it of, kind of being the home of basketball that you can't do anywhere else, right? And so it's so loud from the minute you walk in. There's so many students. You never, like, Kansas, for any reason, never has to worry about students not showing up. Never. And I don't know if there's any school in the country that has that same kind of, like, what are you doing? The students are going to be there. It does not matter. It doesn't matter what else is going on campus. If there's a basketball game that night, they are filling up that massive student section. And I mean, and there's several student sections, but one on either side of the court. There's the massive one where like most of them are. They're in there like as the teams are going through their shoot arounds. So I mean, I walked in and Houston's in their shoot around, and you've already got the band and the students harassing Houston, and it was amazing. I would say if you're a college basketball fan, do whatever you can to make a trip like that happen, because when they were doing the introductions and that, and I don't, like, again, outside of my wife and my brother-in-law, I've never cared about what Kansas did.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't dislike them, didn't like them. They were just Kansas, and I knew they were good. But during the introductions, the hair on my arms and the back of my neck was standing up. It was so electric, and there was so much positive sports energy in the room that I was like, this is amazing. It was so great. And I just, like, everybody who goes there is going to tell you this. And, like, if you ever hear somebody wax rhapsodic about it like I am right now, I'm telling you it's from a genuine place of, like, holy cow. There were guys in line behind us that were wearing Arkansas hoodies, and they were like, look, we're Arkansas fans, but this is a bucket list trip for us.
Absolutely.
And I saw them after the game, and we just, like, shared a little, like, and I'm with Rami and Amanda, and they've both been there before. It's been a while for them, but they're like, see, we told you that this is not a normal basketball game. This is not, it is not just a place. Like, it is
an out-of-body experience.
Very much so. Yeah, you just...
So, I know we talked about, and you were talking about the cohesiveness of the student section. We see that from places like Kansas. You could talk about Duke or North Carolina, but it's few and far between, like, how they work. Do you think that some of those student sections, in particular like that one, it's from, like, you are literally doing this since birth? Like, how much of that is going into the cohesion of what it is there?
I can tell you, there was a kid behind me who couldn't have been 8 or 9.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was... you could have just put him over there.
And that's what I'm saying.
And he would have been like, he would have fit right in. But yeah, that was how it was. And then the other thing is is that some places, and this is not good or bad, when you leave, you become the fan who's like, all right, I can relax now. I don't have to do all this stuff, like I'm married, I don't have to impress some chick, like I'm all right, like that's how it goes. And they sit down. That's fine. You do what you want to as a fan. But at Kansas, like when you look and there's a 9-year-old kid yelling, there's a 19-year-old kid yelling, there's a 45-year-old man yelling, there's a 85-year-old lady just like losing her mind, I saw this lady could not have been younger than 75 and probably in her 80s. Kevin McCullough made a dunk before a media timeout, like right before. He made a dunk that maybe put him up like 18 or something like that. That place went batshit crazy, just like absolutely exploded. And the person I focused on was this lady kind of over in the corner who I don't know how she can move like that at her age, but like just shot up out of her chair. Plus, it was great, like. And you've heard me tell stories about Amanda and like watching games and how tense she gets, and like you heard that. She was having more fun than like I've ever seen her have in our whole relationship.
Her natural environment.
Just like in her natural, like she was so excited. And I was like, this is great. It was just so everybody's having a good time. And it's a great place. It is what sports should be. It is absolutely what sports should be. And if you are a college basketball fan, go to Allen Fieldhouse, especially if you can get in for a big game like that. But look, Kansas versus, Chaminade. Same kind of atmosphere. Yeah. It just won't be like the place. They also know the importance of the moment. So they knew they're coming off like a rocky patch. They lost 3 of 4. Let's, make sure that and then Houston's coming in here. They're new to the conference. Let's make sure that they're not winning a day one at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. It was their first ever trip and they're 0-1.
So I know that was definitely a bucket list, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I know you've gone to most of the MLB.
Yeah, there's some new ones that keep popping up that I have to go back.
What are some bucket lists right now that you haven't made it to that you've got to get to?
I need to get to an Olympics. I really do. I need to get to a World Cup.
Well, you had your chance, but Dallas kind of blew that one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, I guess I can still go to the game.
Yeah,
it just won't be the final.
But
I would very much like to go. I would like to see a Knicks game when the Knicks are good at Madison Square Garden.
Right, yeah.
Like right now, the Knicks are good. It's probably a good energy there. It's just been a long time. I would like to see. I would like to go see the Lakers. I want to kind of experience that. Baseball, I've been most everywhere. Football, I've been to a lot. I would like to go to a game in Arrowhead, although it's never going to be with my wife, as much as she despises the Chiefs. So
yeah, that's so I don't get that.
Yeah, I know. But Seattle, I always wanted to go to a Seahawks game there. There's a ton of colleges I'd like to go to. I can't even start listing. I've been to LSU. I've been to Bama. I haven't been to Tennessee. I'd like to go to Tennessee. I'd like to go to the Big House. I'd like to go to the Horseshoe. So, those are the ones where, that people just get, it's part of it. Matt Rule told us we have to go to Nebraska. He's very, he and Smokey's relationship will be tense until we get there. Smokey's not even paying attention to us right now. We're talking about him.
Yeah, we got to go up there. We need to go up there and do a show.
Yeah, we got to go up. Like I said, Garrett asked me about bucket list places, and I said Nebraska, and I said you and Matt Rule have a little bit of tension in your relationship because, yeah. So anyway, yeah. So no, we'll I didn't want to interrupt Smokey's nap there, but yeah, no, it was great. So if you're ever wondering should I go to this place? Yeah. Yes. That's what you do. I want to go to Kansas State too. Octagon Doom would be great, but there's great places all over. Smokey got to go to Hilton with the Baylor basketball team one time, and he got to experience Hilton Magic. I've never been to Cameron Indoor. As a person who, that one I want to go to, but I'm going to have to prep for it because as someone who watched Duke beat Florida State all 8 times that they played when I was in college, I remember when Steve Wojciechowski was coaching at Duke, when Baylor played them in the Elite Eight, he walked past me in the hallway, and I immediately felt bad because he was the point guard at Duke, and I remember some of the awful things we used to yell at that guy. And when I say awful, I mean bad. Like, my mother would be like, how can you say that about someone? I'm like, did you see what he's doing? He's winning the game against a team that wasn't really that good at that time. So, yeah. Anyway, so, all right, we'll take a break. We'll do another segment before Andrew Sendejo, and then we'll get set up for him. He's coming up in about 18 minutes. This is 365 Sports live in Vegas at Radio Row. We're back after this.
Samantha DeBall, TexasBeefHouse.com. The auctions keep on being, from what I can tell, a great success, Samantha.
Yes, and they are so much fun. We have people that come out that have never been to any type of auction, and they have so much fun. You can hear and feel the energy in the room, especially when people are high-fiving each other when they've won a lot, or you can tell when people are just bummed when they didn't get that one and they're waiting for the next one, but the energy is just so awesome.
Your father said it's been so successful, you're looking at doing even more and more into the future. Is that correct?
That is correct. We don't have a date yet, but we're looking at maybe possibly sometime in April doing another one. And this one will again be a live auction along with being able to bid online for people that are not local.
Farm-raised, aged Wagyu beef. And now people can get it as they want it. The fact that they can control how much they buy and also how much they pay. How really cool is that?
What we like to call it is price discovery. So we don't want to put a price on our product. We want you to decide what you want to pay for our product. So you get to bid what you want to pay.
Samantha, this company has really gone off. You guys are like setting the standard. What are other people in your profession saying about what you're doing?
After this last auction, we had people reach out to us from Arkansas, from Oklahoma, just so excited for what we're doing because it gives them the opportunity to maybe do this possibly in the future too. So we've had a lot of positive feedback from other ranchers.
Super Bowl coming up February the 11th. Chiefs against the 49ers.
You can still order online before then, and this coming week we'll ship Monday through Wednesday. We've got flank steak, slap steak, we've got hamburgers that you can order and get shipped to you. And you know that we're a really big Chiefs fan because Patrick Mahomes is from our hometown.
Right there in your backyard. That's Samantha Duvall, the great company that continues to set the standard in the beef business at TexasBeefHouse.com.
Shop big savings during the Ram Truck Month at Allen Samuels in Waco. Ram 1500 is the most luxurious and technologically advanced Ram 1500 ever. There's a great selection on the lot and ready for immediate delivery. Ram Truck Month sales event is a winner at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Thank you for calling your local Marco's Pizza. We're turning up the heat with our new Reaper Cheesy Bread. Fresh, house-made dough is topped with a spicy cheese blend infused with jalapeno, habanero, and Carolina Reaper peppers. At only $5.99, this limited-time product is a hot deal. Add it to your order while you can. A Marco's team member will be with you shortly.
Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it, and that offer on the Reaper Cheesy Bread is available right now at any of the 5 Marco's Pizza locations in Waco, including Belmead, China Spring, Robinson, Woodway, and Hewitt. Order online at Marcos.com. Call for a pickup or delivery. Marco's Pizza is turning up the heat with their all-new Reaper Cheesy Bread with fresh, hot, house-made dough topped with a spicy cheese blend infused with jalapeno, habanero, and Carolina Reaper peppers. And only $5.99 and for a limited time only. Marco's Pizza, the fastest-growing pizza brand in America. 5 locations in Waco. And the new Reaper Cheesy Bread. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Back with 365 Sports inside NFL Media Headquarters, the Radio Row, Mandalay Bay. And I got to think a couple of things here. First of all, Dan, and MEITER, meter, if the Big 12 goes to 24, and I stopped right there, and I'll read the rest of your 24. And by the way, I never would have thought we'd see anything more than 16, but we're getting to that point here pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
What's the Big 10?
They're at 18.
18. The SEC's at 16. The Big 12's at
14.
14. But 24. Like, here's the deal. How do you really know who the conference champion is anymore? When not that everybody's ever had what the Big 12 had, which everybody played. You played 9 games. You played everybody, switched home and away every other year. But I don't really, is that a conference championship? It is in basketball, but they play a tournament to get to that point.
Yeah.
It's a free-for-all. And you have to qualify for the tournament, then you're seeded. In football, What are they eventually going to have, like a tournament to decide the conference champion? How do you really know? Even if you're in a championship game and you're unbeaten and then you beat somebody else that was unbeaten, yeah, but that doesn't happen very often. How do are conference championships still, do they still mean the same thing?
Well, I mean,
pride-wise?
I think pride-wise,
yeah. By the way, automatic berth, it's
a huge deal. I do think, though, that, like, you know, if you don't win the conference title in basketball, if you're still a good team, it doesn't really matter all that much if you're in a power league. If you're not in a power league, then, you know, oops. You know, that's something they also, I think, have to change with the audit. Like, I get that that way it makes the conference tournament in the Southland Conference mean a lot more for a one big league, but I do think they need a little more flexibility on that. Yeah, I mean, I think when you get to 24, you're not really even talking about a conference anymore. You're talking about its own separate league.
Yeah, Mike, being same thing in the NFL. You play, you can't. But it's not a conference championship. The conference championship's after you win 2 or 3 playoff games. That's a division championship. But you play everybody twice in your division in the NFL. So you really are playing those who. And it's a difference between their division titles and a college basketball conference title.
And look, it means something to win a division title in the league in that individual year, but I've never heard any ex-Cowboys that didn't win the Super Bowl bragging about all the division titles they won.
No.
I mean, like, it just, you know.
And even now, that's been washed out so much.
And the thing is, yes, it's been washed down, and because there's more teams in the playoffs not winning your division, again, if you're still good, if you catch a hot streak, then you can. We've seen it happen a ton of times in the Super Bowl now and in the wild card era. And now that we have the expanded wild card, it's more. So I'm not. You know, they're going to have to change everything. You know, Ari Wasserman wrote a column today about. He talked to recruiting people, and they said, "Look, you really kind of have to blow up the whole system." And he gave out some options to it. That's really what if you're going to a 2014 league, or 20 is about the limit you could push it and still kind of call it close to what it was. Anytime, once you pass 20, you're going into something else where you're going to have an NFL-type scheduling model.
Then you're going to have the pods that we've heard about.
Yeah, all that. So you're going to have to – if you're going to do it, like if you're going to push closer to what the NFL does and you're going to have to schedule like they do, then just do that and stop pretending. But that means that the Super League would be here. And maybe that's what Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti and their working group or commission or whatever they want to call it is doing right now.
Garrett, you're going to say something. Go ahead. The Wet Blanket makes a point that I've thought about many times, about especially in basketball. We'll get to college basketball.
Well, my thing is, as far as the number, the 24 number, who would you get to come in? And because we just talked about it earlier with it.
Well,
there's
about to be 12 or 14 available from the ACC. We don't know that.
But if you're a group of 5 team, what's the incentive to come up now? Because you're not going to get the same money. Like that's another element of this.
Yeah,
like,
if this stuff with SMU is going to be interesting to watch. And it's all you want to be Power 5 group. You want to be a Power 5 or whatever the Autonomy 5, as Mac Roach calls it, because of the money.
Yeah,
it's not because of what other protections really are there. It's the money. So Wet Blanket asks this, and I think it's the regular season in college basketball, in my opinion, but it gets such little attention. Because in college basketball, a conference tournament champion is an automatic berth. You could win the Pac-12 in men's basketball, but that doesn't get you an NCAA berth. But really it does, because you're going to have a good enough record, you're going to be an at-large. So what is more important, a regular season champion or a tournament champion? I think prestige-wise, and what it really does mean is a regular season conference championship. You've played maybe between 14 and 20 games in whatever conference you're in. You can go win 3 or 4 games in a tournament, and you are the ones that get the automatic berth, and you get celebrated more for that than you do winning the conference title. And it could be completely different people. Like, the most important is a conference tournament champion, because you're going to get an automatic berth by winning that. You could be 8-10 in the conference. You could be 6. We've seen that's what Cinderella is.
Yeah, but wouldn't that vary? Like, wouldn't it vary from program to program? Because, like, Baylor has never won a Big 12 tournament. championship, right? Like
no.
I think so. I mean, it would mean something to them.
Oh no! Like just when they won the NIT, they're like a lot of things. But that kind of sparked them a little bit. No, if you've never, for example, Kansas blanks conference championship.
Yeah.
But if you're someone like that has not won the actual conference title, hell yeah, you celebrate it. That's why I think fan bases looked at, well, we got 42 of those. Okay, good for you. But in some other sport, you have none. You know, and you would celebrate that if that was what you were able to produce.
Just ask those same fan bases, like, what happens when you don't win it? I mean, they certainly value that. Like, I'll tell you right now, when Florida State won the ACC this year, to me, that was a huge deal because they hadn't done it in a long time. It'd been a long time where, you know, used to, I could wake up in the morning, I could promise you three things. The sun's going to rise, the sun's going to set, and FSU's going to win the ACC. And then that's not a given anymore. So, yeah, no, I think it is. Like, those fans who get entitled to it, again, like, Oklahoma's about to experience it in a big way in that they might have some great teams that don't win a conference title for the next decade.
Yeah, and
go 10-2.
But there's they don't have the ability to win two conference titles. Will they still reward a regular season conference champion? Can you do that if you have divisions?
No, I mean,
I guess you could still hang a banner if you were to, I don't care who it is. Let's just say it's South Carolina. I know this is about, unfortunately. Let's just say it's Oklahoma, and they were to win the SEC regular season. Yeah, you're damn right you celebrate that. But what does it mean?
But, I mean, football's never been that way since they've had tournaments, since they've had the championship game. You know, nobody's the conference champion until the tournament.
It's the same thing in basketball.
Yeah. Well, the basketball has a regular season and the tournament title because
why doesn't football have? Yeah, you could have let's say you have a team that goes 9-0, and there is no everybody 16 teams and everyone else is 8-1 or better. Did you not win the conference title?
You didn't because you have to play that game.
Yeah, that's
and the part of the reason for that in football is that obviously it's different. There's less games that you have to do that, and also like in basketball, you have to guard against the fact that the conference championship game in football is one game. The conference tournament is multiple games.
3 or 4,
So it's a different thing. You have to win 3 or 4 games to win that title. So it's a little bit of a different thing. That's why you have the regular season and the conference tournament, because the conference tournament can be a team who absolutely did nothing in the regular season.
Cinderella.
And then get hot
at
and
the
go
right
in
time.
there.
Yeah, and that leads to God knows what they might do the first weekend.
If you were saying, you know, for example, if Oklahoma State gets hot, you know, mad that Mike Boynton might get fired, they get hot and win 4 games in Kansas City in March, and they win the conference tournament. Well, it would be really unfair to just call them the conference champion, considering that during the conference season, only reason they were in the tournament is because they were in the conference.
Yeah,
you know, so that's why I think it's a little bit different when you get down to it.
Dustin, any thoughts on the Big 12? Getting a few extra Friday night games in football. I think it gets more views, no competition, most likely on the day that even maybe, of course, they have some of those programmed in for Thursday and even a Friday or two.
They're going to have, like, with more and more teams, based on TV windows, they're going to have more and more Thursday and Friday games.
They're going to have to.
They're going to have to.
You can only play so many games on a Saturday and get them on TV, even if it's ESPN Plus.
And the other thing is, like, but you're going to say ESPN Plus can be any time. But, like, if you're adamant about playing on Saturday, if you tell them, like, listen, we're going to sign this TV deal with you, but we're only going to play on Saturdays, they're going to tell you then, like, all right, well, 6 of your games are going to be on ESPN Plus no matter what. Or we could put 3 of them on, and we could put 3 on another day.
Diesel, why reference South Carolina when making any kind of comments about football or basketball? I was trying to find somebody that was not the same teams, you know, Alabama, Georgia.
But my point,
and as a Cinderella.
But my point on Oklahoma,
Diesel, you're right.
On Oklahoma and football was, look, they haven't won. They didn't win the Big 12 the last 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So they haven't won it the last 3 years, and they won it pretty much every year for a decade. It felt like off and on. Like they just had it.
It seemed like they won like 11 of 14 or 15.
Yeah, they won
like
so
regular
many.
season, but even the game,
championship game. So they're winning those all the time. And we got to get Anderson Dejo on it here in a second. So Emery, you're going to have to get on. But are there fans who say, like, we've got 400 conference titles. Oh, it's not a big deal. Well, wait till you don't win it in the SEC for 9 years, even though you're going 11-1 or 10-2.
Yeah,
like,
I think if there's a championship awarded, then I want you want to take a break first.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Well, with the championship that's won, you should celebrate it with a banner or not. We can ask Andrew that a little bit later on. Andrew Sendejo about to join us here in just a moment, live at NFL Media Headquarters in Las Vegas on 365 Sports.
Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Here's Purdy with a lot of time. Steps into one. Launching deep. Going for Brandon Ayuk. It is. Oh, he caught it off the ricochet. Penalty. Is he in?
Live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. This is 365 Sports. Powered by SicEm365.com.
Here's Kansas City from the 19. Throwing at the goal line. And it's caught by Kelce for the touchdown.
Our coverage of Super Bowl 58 is brought to you by Allen Samuels House of Travel, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, TexasBeefHouse.com, IdealMRI.com, Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine, Marco's Pizza, Rogue Media, Camille Johnson Realtors, the Tyler Candle Company, United Nissan.
Third down, four-man rush. Purdy in some trouble. Escapes, looking for the first down. He's got it and more. Brock Purdy with the legs inside the 30.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at uniteprivatenetworks.com.
2nd and 10 to the end zone again, and it is intercepted. Intercepted by Deion Bush, who just came in 2 plays ago for Mike Edwards.
Now here's David Smoak and Paul Catalina.
All right, we're back in Las Vegas, the Mandalay Bay NFL Media Headquarters. Andrew Sendejo joins us here at the table, 365 Sports. 12-year NFL veteran, went to Smithson Valley High School. I played against them a long time ago, well before Andrew, and also Rice University, and again 12 years mainly with the Vikings throughout his NFL career. And BrainTreatNutrition.com. We'll get to football. You know that.
Yeah.
How did you get to this point where you jumped into this lake of all sorts of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so obviously 12 years in the NFL, a lot of head trauma. And so after seeing a lot of prolonged head trauma on myself, my peers, we set out to create a line of products to help enhance and preserve brain health. So products that help with focus, memory, neuroprotection, stress and anxiety relief, sleep, and like the one you're holding there, Brain Water, our electrolytes plus focus product. We just wanted to address all these different areas of brain health with products that were safe and transparent and backed by ingredients that have human clinical studies on them that are proven to be effective. So another one of my teammates from Rice, we hired his mom and his family. They're all doctors as our medical consulting team to help validate all the studies and to help formulate everything. So I am not a neurologist, but we have neurologist formulated products, like I said, to help enhance and preserve your brain health.
Cucumber lime, by the way.
Oh, you're supposed to mix it with water.
Oh my God.
Oh my! All right, everybody. If you just saw that was crazy. But
I survived.
It went straight to the dome. I do not recommend doing that. You can if you want to, but that's usually that's a young kid's game. That's a young kid's game. Do not do that. Mix it in your water. Hey, he went straight to the first. I was wondering what you were about to do.
You saw me. I've been teasing it.
I thought you were going to put it in water.
I saw the water bottle there.
It was fine. That's not the way to do it.
Have some more. You're going to need some more water.
Are my lips like purple or whatever?
No.
Hey, look, I got you some more here.
Did people?
Here, I got you another one.
That was not bad, actually.
Did everybody see the dust pop out of his mouth when he spoke? Did you? I hope.
Look, we do not recommend doing that. You can if you want to, but you need to mix it.
My vision just cleared up. I see.
Look, you look more focused. You look more energetic. You look hydrated.
Again, brain tree nutrition. Obviously, the brain part of it is what I need. That wasn't a bad hit right there, by the way.
Yeah.
So
no, that's good.
Andrew, look, you just made a great recruiting pitch for Rice. Why Rice? Because if you need a neurologist, you have a couple people you can call without having to figure it out too much.
Yeah, I think just even me and my co-founder, we've always been into health and nutrition and wellness. We were always kind of the go-to supplement guy in our locker rooms. Even when he played in the NFL, when I played in the NFL, guys would always kind of come to us and ask us about different ingredients. And it was always a running joke, like, hey, guys, you guys can't take any products unless you ask me about it first. And so just, something I've always been into. And then obviously, like I said, just a lot of head trauma throughout the years. Actually, my very last play of my NFL career was a gruesome concussion. And so segueing into this kind of brain health area, it just makes sense, and I think it's an area that, like I said, we can help people with their brain health, with their cognitive function, with their focus, with their memory, all these different areas. I give it to my family, I give it to my mom, my dad. I take it, and even when I finish playing, a lot of memory kind of focus issues, a lot of fog, all the brain fog and whatnot. And so I've, by taking even my own products, because I've read all the studies, I know how well they work. I've been able to almost restore, my brain health back to what it once was, feeling better, feeling more energetic, feeling like my memory and my focus is improved. So like I said, I'm a customer of my own products. And even if nobody buys any of these, I'll take them all. So more for me.
Yeah. No, that really was. For a minute there, I fantastic. I'm actually like as focused and clear.
Well, we're gonna have to clip this and send it to him.
No,
so he can use
it's part of his commercial.
We'll pay you royalties on it.
I mean, the chat room laughing, because they're like, just take a one hit. That's what I did. It was great. That was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Thank God there was a bottle of water close by.
I got more here. If you want to. If you want to just drown yourself in powder.
Yeah. So, Andrew, the Cowboys need a defensive coordinator. One of the candidates.
Fine, I'll do it. Fine, I'll do it.
But one of the candidates is Mike Zimmer, who you played for a very long time.
Yeah.
He was the defensive coordinator in Dallas at one time before, and then he's, was the head coach for you in Minnesota. And he is one of the well-respected defensive minds. If they do make that choice, given the talent they have on defense, how does he fit what they do? Or is it he'll mold what he does around what they have?
Yeah, I think he'll obviously have his, baby, so to speak, of like his defenses that he loves to run. But as a defensive coach, you're always adapting to how the game is changing, how these offenses are changing to kind of these basketball on grass, 7-on-7 type, where you have a lot of scat backs. You basically have 5 wide receivers at all times. Even the tight ends nowadays are basically just big, glorified wide receivers. And so I think just the experience he has, the amount of games that guy has been in and seen, he would be able to, not only install kind of his defense, but be able to, with the personnel, find the right kind of defenses to run. And also a lot of times what you do, you go in, you see a defense that these guys ran in previous years, and you just kind of run the same type of schemes that they know. And so you would say, hey, like, well, you guys used to call cover 6, like, we're going to run that still. It's going to be the exact same way. And so you try to keep some kind of uniformity, like going from one guy to the next, and then just try to critique and tweak different things. And just, but I think, he's an old school, hard-nosed coach, and I think he's obviously, ready to kind of get back into the things. So,
as a guy that played on defense, what's the most important? You can be really good and force turnovers like the Cowboys did, but when it came to the time up the gut, Hankins got hurt and they became vulnerable. What's that like on defense if you can't stop the run, no matter what level?
It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare because now you're playing, two-dimensional ball. You're having to play both. Whereas if you can stop the run and then they have to go to the pass, you're making them one-dimensional. It just makes everything easier for you. And so now instead of stopping everything, you only have to stop one thing. And so any defensive player will tell you pretty much the first checkpoint on every game plan is to stop the run and to get turnovers. Those are the two kind of main things. If you can do those, a lot of things will fall into place.
Who was on either side of the spectrum? Who was the most humbling running back and running game that ever, like, you had those moments where, like, are we, in the defensive huddle going, are we going to do anything about this guy? And what was the one where you were the most like, we shut this dude down?
Oh, gosh. I have to go through all my years. I have had the fortune of playing against some pretty good running backs, some big running backs.
Look,
Marshawn Lynch.
You had the best one across the way, that you practiced against. So
yeah,
and Adrian Peterson, in case people are trying to.
In case you're wondering, yeah. Man, I'm trying to think of like who just had a really good run game that we just absolutely shut down. It's hard to think of right now, but yeah, I think about like. People always ask me like, who are the hardest like running backs to go against, and it's always those just like really big bruiser guys that can also run really fast. Actually, I would say even when I was in Indianapolis my last year, we obviously played Tennessee, and I think we always did a good job against Derrick Henry, who has kind of all the attributes, size, speed, or whatnot. I played against him a couple times, and even when I was in Cleveland, when I was in Indy. Did a good job. But that's a guy that, like, every week, when you go play that team, like, okay, they're going to run the ball, and we have to be able to stop it. But there's also been some times where, in my career where you're just getting, ran all over, and you just know it's going to be a long day.
Andrew Sendejo with us, BraintreeNutrition.com. Somebody had a question about, can you ask Andrew if his products work with long COVID symptoms like brain fog?
So I legally can't make any medical claims about that, but these products are, they have scientific studies on humans that are proven to help with focus, brain fog, ADHD type symptoms, memory. So we have had people that have had some of those kind of long COVID brain fog type things that have given us some good reviews on that it helped clear that up. But from a legal standpoint, I can't medically say that it helps with that. But these ingredients, like I said, have human clinical studies proven to be effective. That's why we put these products in there. And if you go to our website, we have a 35% off sale. We have free shipping, money back guarantee. So if you try it, you think that it sucked, you don't like it, we'll refund you your money. That's how confident we are in our products. So. And for also, like I said, for every sale, we donate a portion of our proceeds to Alzheimer's research. So we're on the forefront of helping prevent degenerative brain disease. And like I said, just trying to improve people's brain health and improve people's overall longevity.
I'll just ask you,
I checked
Smokey,
a lot of those boxes, by the way. Seriously, the symptoms like ADHD, attention. Oh my God, I'm like the king of it.
Are you brain foggy right now?
No, I'm telling you right now. I wear contacts.
You got like a pep in your. You look like your whole aura is.
I'm not joking. I wear contacts. One, monovision, and I see clear now across the room that and it might be the quick little sugar. No, you said there's no sugar.
No sugar, no caffeine.
Whatever the electrolytes
vitamin
or
rush
whatever.
that you're getting,
But I mean, my mind is, and they know it's a little, it's I'm dangerous
clearly
right now.
You did it without putting water. So
yeah. These are, Our
Can you put, by the way, please digest with water on the package?
It is on here. I guess it's on here on the stick pack too, but you didn't. You just decided to.
Hey, I'm a guy.
Yeah.
I never read the directions.
I like it. I think the only other person that I've seen do that was I think
Rob Gronkowski or someone.
Maybe, yeah, or someone that was. A little intoxicated, and I was like, "Hey, you need some of this to help you out."
And they bull rushed it.
Yeah, and they just went right to the dome with it. So,
what does Patrick Mahomes, besides he's talented and gifted and all, what do you see in him that makes him so special?
I think part of it is that he is going to give you a game no matter what. He's gonna find a way to either win the game or give you hell on the way to a loss. I think just, the way that their season has ended, where it wasn't doing too hot, and there was maybe a chance they weren't going to make the playoffs, to where, they clinched, and now they're playing good ball. And I think just their team, there's a lot of guys that have been to this stage, and so it's not something new to them, and they're experienced here. And there's not all the bright lights. It's like, okay, we've been to the Super Bowl many times, and so I think there's kind of this element to that, to where their confidence is even higher going into the game. They've been here, they've won here, and yeah, he's going to make plays with his feet, he's going to make plays with his arm, and they're going to have some really creative play calling in the game that is going to give people problems. But anytime you face a quarterback like that as a DB, it's always, you just know you're going to be exhausted at the end of the game, because you're going to have to cover your guy 2 or 3 times throughout the play. You're going to cover him on the route that he was supposed to run, and then you're going to have to cover him when he starts scrambling around, and maybe even longer. So it's always a long day.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Brock Purdy and what he's proved a lot of doubters wrong? And look, you're a guy who had to prove it in the league. Like you didn't do it the easy way. Nobody was like, well, we got to make sure that Sendejo makes this roster because we drafted him really high. I mean, you earned your spot everywhere you were.
Yeah, I think he's that guy has been, ever since he stepped foot on the field as a starter, has shown that he is starter level material. Play with poise, has made good plays. Obviously, has put his team in a position to go to the Super Bowl, almost go last year. There's nothing on the tape. I always would just watch the tape, and I would take a guy for what I saw on the tape. I don't care what the stats were, what their draft status was, or anything. Whatever I see on tape is how I'm going to play against you. And so from everything I've seen, that guy plays as high a caliber as a first-round pick, as a veteran quarterback. He's obviously understands their scheme really well, and that's what gives those guys, that confidence to play like that. So yeah, it'll be a good matchup. I'm excited. I'm excited for for even him as a guy in that position to have a chance to win it, and basically kind of to prove all the doubters wrong.
Andrew Sendejo, again, 12-year veteran, Vikings for most of his career. It's BraintreeNutrition.com. I didn't mean it this way, but the little part of the segment got a lot of people talking. I mean, seriously, they're one. Good thing my wife isn't watching. She'd buy the whole warehouse of brain water for me. So, but people get it. This is awesome. Yeah. This is and the bottom line is what you've been through as a player. Others have been through as a player. The mind of what we try to protect, and then also those who might have other issues that lead to that.
Yeah.
Just go to the website. That's how you go.
Yep. Just go to BraintreeNutrition.com. Check us out there. Like I said, you get 35% off your first order. We have some other kind of discounts that roll through. And like I said, free shipping. And if, we're based in Austin, so we're right there. So we'll get there. Won't take very long to get there.
No, it's right. You're right around the corner.
Yes.
Andrew Sendejo, we appreciate your time. Thank you, man.
Thanks,
Enjoy the
guys.
week. I know you will.
Appreciate it.
We're back with Paul Catalina and his top 5, and this is 365 Sports.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected. Get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Our good friend Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jewelers here at 365 Sports. Now, Brad, people who watch and listen to our show know I'm a double-time customer for you, engagement ring and wedding band, and you guys do that great, but that's not all you do at Boozer's Jewelers.
Absolutely. And I always like to say, it's a new year. It's a great way to start the year out. Go through your old jewelry. Go through your wife's jewelry box. Go through anything you're maybe not wearing, something that's broken, something that you're not using. We do a massive amount of custom work. We can take your old jewelry, old diamonds, old watches, and we can convert it into something special for you and make a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And if that's not something you're interested in, a great thing is we can turn that into cash. So we buy gold, we buy diamonds, we'll buy Rolex watches, any kind of heirloom jewelry, anything that's maybe passed down to you.
Boozer's Jewelers, where do they find you, Brad?
We're at 1025 North Valley Mills Drive, right on the corner of Lake Air Drive and Valley Mills with the big clock on the corner.
It's time for Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Texas Beef House. Where's the best beef in Texas? Your house when you order from Texas Beef House. Unleash the flavor of Texas raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com.
All right, so top 5 NFL storylines from Super Bowl Monday. One of these has to do with the Super Bowl. The rest are tangential around the league, but we haven't gotten to talk about them today, so wanted to get your opinion on some of these, Smokey, and talk about them. Number 5, Ejiro Evero, the very highly thought of defensive coordinator who interviewed for a bunch of head coaching jobs, staying on with Dave Canales and the Panthers as the defensive coordinator. That is maybe the most hotly regarded quarterback coach in Canales, and one of the most hotly coveted young defensive coordinators in the league, together on a staff now with an owner that is pretty nuts. But sometimes even crazy people can find themselves in a good situation. The only question I have about the Panthers is David Tepper has this really interesting, intriguing young coaching staff. Can he stay out of their way?
Probably not. You hope that he'd learn because his team sucks. His franchise is a joke based on some of the things. And then he's hired and fired coaches like, who's the lady that got divorced about 20 different times?
Oh, like Liz Taylor?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what he's done. And so, but will he change? You hope so. Otherwise, he's going to get lucky. I don't know. I think Bryce Young's still a pretty good player. I do like what he does. But as far as if you can keep your young assistants, coordinators with you, that sure doesn't hurt. That I love stability. That's a big deal for me.
Especially with Brian Burns, their fantastic defensive end, who went to Florida State, by the way. But Brian Burns coming up here where he's going to be in a contract negotiation. If you want to have he's a cornerstone-type player on defense, that's a good one to have. Number 4, this is interesting. This is actually more of a college note, but it means the Patriots don't have a coach that was on their staff. Steve Belichick, who was calling the plays for the defense last year for New England and his father's last year, on his way to UW. He's going to be with the Huskies and Jed Fish as their
was there someone else
coordinator
prior to when he decided that's where he's going to go, where he was linked to? Belichick?
I don't.
I want to, for some reason, want to think it might have been in California.
I think there was some potential for him with another NFL team, but it might have been the Rams. I think it might have been the Rams.
Okay, that might have been it.
But Steve Belichick to UW and brings that name to Jed Fish's staff. Kind of interesting that a guy who's never recruited too is going to jump in and go there, because he's always been there, grown up through the Patriots.
Yeah, he's been pro football, pretty much just completely in his blood.
But I guess your recruiting pitch is like, hi,
you know what recruiting
I'm
is?
Steve Belichick.
That guy can play.
Yeah.
That's my position, or that's my region to coach or to recruit. I'm getting him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
you can learn that pretty quickly.
Yeah. Number 3, my favorite story of the day, Le'Veon Bell. 32 years old, former NFL running back, is trying to take the former out of his title. He is attempting a comeback.
Yeah,
he's hoping.
I don't like this with running backs.
He's hoping that he can run it back with the Steelers, because I don't think he probably has some guilt about the way that ended, which was insane.
When he had that slide to him, that unbelievable patience, and then he just disappeared. Yeah. I don't know about running backs.
I mean, coming back for that position.
What's it been, a couple of years now?
Yeah, he was out in 2021 was the last he played.
3 football seasons.
Yeah.
You think of that, you go, well, maybe he's got some of the bumps and bruises. I think once you've already had him, and he didn't play that long, but I think there's a certain precision of being at that level and all of a sudden trying to come back. It's like boxers who try to come out of retirement, and they've been out maybe for a year. Hey, good for him. If he makes it, great. But I don't like the odds here.
All right. Number 2, Kyle Shanahan finally copped to it. And he did it in an interview with Peter King. It's always been kind of danced around when it came to this offseason. Look, they knew that they were going to trade Trey Lance. They knew that was going to happen. They knew that, but they didn't know what the status of Brock Purdy was going to be, because he had an elbow injury in the NFC Championship game. So literally at the second to last latest point of the season where he could have a season-ending injury, he had it. The only way it could have been worse is when Odell Beckham Jr. hurt himself in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But there's only one worse scenario for that as far as recovery timeline. And they were fortunate to find out that Brock Purdy was not in any kind of imminent danger when he had his surgery, that it was the lesser of what it could have been. But you've got a guy with an elbow, the same injury that Brock Purdy had would keep Jacob deGrom out for an entire season. So those things you have to worry about when you're talking about a guy who throws. But he did admit that, yes, he made a push for the organization to sign Tom Brady this last offseason. And if you know anything about the history of young Tom Brady was a 49ers fan. He grew up in Northern California, crazy big 49ers fan. And that's where I thought he was going to go when he left the Patriots. I thought that was, before he went over the Bucs, I was like, oh, he's just going to go play for the 49ers. And a lot of people don't have the juice to just call up your hometown team and go, hey, I'm playing for you now.
Right.
But Tom Brady does.
Tom Brady, when Tom Brady calls, you pick up the phone.
Look,
I just said I don't like people holding out for too many years. That might be one of the few positions maybe where you could do that.
Look, and had he played this year for somebody, nobody would have really been that surprised, and he'd probably have been fine. But yeah, he did want Tom Brady, which I think would have been interesting, which really they could have found themselves right here back in this game with Tom Brady, especially with all the weapons and things they have around him. But it ultimately didn't come to that. But it was interesting that Kyle Shanahan finally, after kind of dancing around it, because it's a weird thing to get into, especially when Purdy has so many doubters. But that he did cop to it today in an interview.
There's nothing wrong with looking
King.
for a guy that, in case your guy who you've committed to is not going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 1.
Yep.
Number one, we have not talked about this today, but Cliff Kingsbury is the new offensive coordinator for the Commanders. The defensive coordinator, and this also comes, when the Cowboys lost Dan
By the
Quinn.
way, they fired Bieniemy.
Yeah.
That's actually, they didn't, just not, because he apparently had years left, right?
Yeah.
Because he only,
Yeah, so Eric Bieniemy's gone. Cliff Kingsbury is there. Also, Joe Witt Jr. now becomes the defensive coordinator under Dan Quinn. He leaves from the Cowboys.
That's official?
That's official. He's there, so that does affect the Cowboys. Although, even though Jerry said he was going to interview Joe Witt Jr., I really feel like he wasn't ever going to do that. He was. I don't think he ever really intended on it. It appears that Ron Rivera and Mike Zimmer, who we just talked about with Andrew Sendejo, are that. But your thoughts on Cliffy?
Yeah, I don't mean this to be negative because I like him. He's a great dude. He really is. But I like him right now as a non-head coach. And I'm not saying he couldn't be successful, but I think that he's building a pretty nice, deep resume as USC, where he's been. And I think another year or two. Listen, if you can win at Washington, you're going to get noticed.
Yeah.
Right? The guy who's got the job there.
Well, it took a team to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And if not for that rascally Tom Brady.
Yes. Yeah. And also, how long had it been since he was with the Falcons, goes to Dallas, he kind of resurrects. Maybe if you're not, he'd taken a team to a Super Bowl. It was so close. So I like this for Cliff. I think another year or two as a coordinator, and maybe he'll get that chance again. And maybe he might just end up being a lifelong offensive coordinator. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's a lot of people. Look, Steve Spagnuolo was a head coach for a little while, and now he's the best defensive coordinator in football.
Yes.
He's found his niche. Sometimes that's where you are. He's making a lot of money, and it's great. I think it'll be interesting to see for the NFC East to deal with Cliff Kingsbury calling those plays.
Depending on who they get to quarterback, is it going to be Caleb Williams, Drake May? Is it still part of Sam Howell? What?
So the offenses that the Cowboys will face now are Cliff Kingsbury,
wide open.
Kellen Moore,
wide open. That's right.
And Brian Daboll, who is very creative.
Yeah.
I'll just say that he's very creative. He's very creative. I think Brian Daboll is one of the best football minds.
He's an Alabama guy, right?
He's one of the best football minds in the league. I don't think he's been given the full menu to work with. The Giants feel to me like a team that you ever go to a restaurant right when they open, they're like, listen, we're going to have this eventually, but right now we have this on the menu.
Right.
That's kind of what the Giants are. They haven't gotten their full menu yet. But Cliff Kingsbury, the Commanders, I think is a really interesting and intriguing move. And should the Bears decide not to draft Caleb Williams, he's going to be reunited with him.
No, you're right. There's a possibility.
Or if the Commanders decide to, go up and.
Don't. Why?
No.
Yeah. If you have the number 2 pick and you've got Williams, who I know is very, and you have why?
And Drake May and Jaden Daniels.
If anything, you could trade down. If you get more, don't do too much. You're going to get a quarterback at 2 if that's what you want to get.
Let somebody else get drunk and go trade up for Caleb Williams.
Absolutely.
That's what I say.
All right,
that's it.
All right. One other final college football note that's popping. Remember the reaction when Ohio State hired Bill O'Brien as their offensive coordinator? Mm-hmm. He now is apparently on the cusp of being the head coach at Boston College. Not kidding.
I know.
Dick Weiss.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, he's been more, and there's a guy that has been a coordinator around the NFL and all that, Alabama, but that's more of a guy you think of as as a head coach. It's weird. He's had good and bad with both. All right, Garrett Ross, thank you very much. Emery Winter, first ever Super Bowl Radio Row. Thanks to everyone, our sponsors. You will hear them throughout the week. We've got the opens and the closes, the billboards, etc. of our sponsors, including Alan Samuels' House of Travel. We appreciate Bambi Eskew for what she did to set us up, and also Bill Denton. I'm David Smoak. For Emery, Garrett, Paul, for you, good night from Las Vegas, Nevada.